Hello and welcome to the SuperShow podcast episode. I don't even know because, fellas, this podcast has been going on for way too long. I think, maybe we just got to snip it right there. No? Disagree?
No. Absolutely disagree. It's number 84 going strong, Chris. We've got many more in us.
Man. I was thinking, if we were still in the 60s, we maybe could have brought it all to an end on 69, and that would have been pretty cool. But yeah, I don't know. I think now we have to go to at least 100, right? We have to see triple figures.
Or we get to 99 and don't tell anybody that we're stopping, and then just stop. How funny would that be?
No, I couldn't do that. It would make me feel really weird. I'd be like, ugh. I'd have to make my own podcast on my own and just upload it to my own channel.
The Jonesy Hour.
Just me going, this is 100.
Oh my
I'm
goodness.
here on my own.
I'd still listen.
Yeah, I'd listen as well. I wouldn't be there, but I'd listen. But yes, you are listening to a apparently gaming podcast with me, your host, Chris, and some fine-looking fly fellas. How about that? Fly fellas. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it today, and instead I've got Jamie and Jonesy, so there you go. How's it going, fellas?
That's a classic.
Yeah, it's going well, thank you, mate. It's actually been an all right gaming week for me, and I've dipped my toes into some other cultish behaviour as well. So not cultish like
cultish?
that, like I don't know what's like.
What are you talking
not cult.
About?
How many goats did you slit the throat of this week, Jonesy?
No, not cult. Like, kind of nerdy. I can't think of the word.
Did you slit the throat and did you put the?
Do you know what it was? I was thinking like comic books and weird TV shows, and I was thinking like cult classic, and then cult came out, and it got weird.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that's going to be the last time that Jonesy is going to be on the Super Show.
Sorry, guys.
Well, he's got a cult to run. He's a busy man, clearly.
Exactly.
The Scientologists are calling.
Yeah.
Goats to kill, Kool-Aid to drink. There you go. Oh my goodness.
Kool-Aid.
Well, yes. Listen, if you like what you've heard so far, then you can follow us on Twitter at SuperShowPod. We're on Instagram as well, but we never fucking post anything. But hey, give it a shot. Who fucking knows?
Worship Moloch.
Wow.
There you go. You know what? I've been converted. It's as simple as that. Where do I start?
Right. So if you do want to continue listening to this particular cult, then you can head on over to Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, anywhere of good standing where you can get a podcast platform of your choice. But make sure it's a good one, because if it isn't, Jones is going to send Moloch, and Moloch's going to
Do you want to know something kind of scary? I didn't think this had sort of grafted itself into my brain. I've just looked up Moloch because that name just came to me. It is like the goat demon god from the
what the fuck?
What Bible?
What Bible?
It's in the Hebrew Bible, the book of Leviticus.
I was going to say the Hebrew Bible.
Leviticus.
Leviticus.
I can't say it.
Is the Hebrew Bible different to the Bible that I had to read in school?
I don't know. We're outside of my comfort zone.
Isn't the Hebrew Bible just the Torah?
Yeah, which is the Old Testament, right? So it's
the Old Testament is not the Torah.
Yes, it is.
Wait, so they just stopped reading halfway through? They're just like, you know what? That was all good enough. We don't need to hear about this Jesus guy.
Yeah, who cares about the sequel? The sequels are never better than the originals. So
do you know what? Let's move away from religion. We might have strayed into dangerous territory.
That's a joke in the Book of Mormon, though, right? Is that the Bible is a trilogy, and the Book of Mormon is Return of the Jedi. That's how they. That's how they sell it.
Yeah.
Right, there you go. Fellas, can I finish doing my segue, please? Well, not segue, introductions, because we are available on Paisley Radio. As Jonesy used to say, but has moved on, we are internet radio superstars. I would say we are now jizz stars.
Jizz stars of the jizz era. The Al Jizz era.
The Al Jazeera, there you go. So yeah, paisleyradio.com. Thursdays, 10 p.m, repeats on Mondays. So you've got 3 separate chances to catch this shit going down. Because speaking of going down, we are crashing and burning. So please, just watch, just listen. Just support us in either which way. No, Jamie, I'm not going to go down on you. Stop asking, okay? This is my Me Too movement, and I'm saying no. You've been cancelled, buddy. You've been cancelled.
We got told before that Al means the, so didn't Jamie just say the era? The Jazeera. So isn't it?
No, I just said Al Jazeera.
You said the Al Jazeera.
The Al Jazeera, yeah.
Oh, fuck.
The Jazeera.
There's a shopping centre in Athens called Store Mall. So mall isn't like shopping mall, but store means the in Greek. And when you ask someone in Greek, like where they're going, we're going to the Stormall. Just like we're going to the mall. It's a bit ridiculous. But anyway,
the mall.
Fellas, what an action-packed week it's been, full of so much news that we had a really hard time picking which particular things we were going to talk about. Like, so much happened. Actually, that's complete fabrication, a lie. Not much happened. It's just this kind of like, it's that post E3, pre Gamescom shitty kind of like stuff gets like shown but not shown and blah, 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 blah. It's all a bit weird, but we do have some news items for you. Now, yes, Nintendo did have their indie showcase, but I don't think we're going to cover that today. Just gonna put that out there. Hey, Axiom Verge, fucking, what's it called? Shadow dropped that. Like, they dropped it on the same fucking day they announced it. So there you go. Go play Axiom Verge. And that's it for Nintendo. But you know what else we got? The gift that fucking keeps on giving, fellas. That too. But this is not our drug podcast, Jamie. That's for the dark web.
Yeah, shit. Tune into Paisley Radios on Tuesdays at 10 p.m.
Jamie gives you his lowdown on what he's been taking for the past week. Yeah. Is he on uppers? Is he on downers? God. Tune in to find out.
Patreon.com/Cocaine Club. Start subscribing now and help us out. We appreciate every donation.
Wow. Okay, cool. But yes, the gift that actually keeps on giving is Kojima and Hasan Kharaman.
Hang on, I'm not going to let you get away with that.
Why?
Can you really include one of those names in there, legitimately?
I'd also say that it's the gift that doesn't keep on giving, because they keep on not
it's
giving.
The gift that stopped giving this week.
No, yeah, but hold on a second, fellas, because if this wasn't the gift that keeps on giving, then we would have nothing to report on for like the third week in a row.
I see.
But we're reporting on it not giving. So you see, it's like a bit of a weird sort of backwards thing.
You know what? Hasan giveth and Kojima taketh. That's just how it fucking goes sometimes. But also, a little bit of a... How's this? I'm going to give a little bit of a sneak peek as to what's coming up at the end of the show, our last piece of news, because there is some juicy news of a remaster that you're not going to want to miss. So be sure to watch or listen to the entire podcast of fucking, I don't know how fucking long. It's going to be 5 hours.
Spoiler, it's Leisure Suit Larry getting a remake.
Yeah.
Oh, God. That would be ridiculous. All right. But anyway, back to the gift that keeps on giving, fellas, because... yes, Abandoned is in the news again. How fucking ridiculous is this? Now, I know we can get a little bit like tired of this, but it just gets more and more insane. And we've said before that we're only going to continue like covering something when there's like another perspective that we can kind of like talk about and explore, right? Jamie, you're a big proponent of this and saying like, why am I going to talk about playing the same game week in, week out if I don't have anything new to add to it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas I am an advocate of just talking about shit again and again, even though I have nothing new to add.
I have played probably about 400 hours of Warzone since I last talked about Warzone, but at some point, no one needs to know about Warzone.
Except that it's dying its slow death.
Actually, fuck, I lied, because I talked about Warzone last week because I talked about it dying. Yeah.
And you talked about it this week.
So, I'm not going to talk about it this week. Well, unless that counts. And if that counts, then fuck. I mean, can I leave the call now? Is it?
No,
too early?
No, yeah.
2-man podcast? Question mark.
Like, what is the least duration do you think we'll be able to get away with and still call ourselves a podcast for that week? Like 25 minutes?
I think 45.
45 was the first number that popped into my head as well.
Interesting.
Half an hour's a TV show. 20 minutes is like barely a taster. 45, surely.
Wow. Okay. Cool. All right. There you go. Anyway, fellas, you want to jump down the rabbit hole with me one more time?
Let's follow Hasan wherever the yellow brick road takes us.
Goodbye, yellow brick road. All right. So, what should have happened is the whole big thing about Blue Box Game Studios and what they were meant to do was you could download this app and it would play the trailer that they've got for you in real time in the engine on your PS5 using your PS5's graphical capabilities. Why they need to do that? Anybody's fucking guess, but there you go. Something a little bit different, and I guess something for news headlines. But it's not, that in itself is not that fucking interesting, is it? what is interesting is the bigger kind of fucking, as we said, rabbit hole that people are fucking spiraling down. And it's fascinating. It's fascinating to watch it from a distance, almost like a supernova. So this app was meant to go live. When was it? Like 2 days ago on the
10th. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So at 9 p.m. European time. So that never.
Can I just on that, because I did hear a thing. I don't know if it was from Hasan or it was from Blue Box, but I did like that they tweeted out saying people are asking us what time it goes live. It doesn't matter because it goes live on the 10th everywhere. And it was like, it's not the 10th everywhere at the same time. How do you? So you need to specify a time if it's going to go live. Anyway,
you see, you're forgetting Hasan's not a person; he's an entity, so he exists in all time zones simultaneously.
Yeah, he's a projection of Hideo Kojima's sperm.
Yeah. So he is the past, he is the present, and he is the future.
I see.
And if you go on Google Translate and do Kharaman from Turkish to, I think you have to go from Turkish to French, then back to English. It actually says the 10th. That's the literal translation of what Kharaman means. Test it out if you're listening at home.
You won't even need to watch the abandoned trailer when it does go live, because it'll just be with us. It'll be inside of us as soon as it's turned on. It doesn't matter where you are.
You will wake up. Fellas, what's going to happen is you're going to wake up tomorrow after listening to this podcast, okay? And a memory, Inception style, would have been planted in your head that you have watched the trailer. But you haven't watched the trailer because the trailer doesn't exist, because we are all in a simulation.
Maybe.
Big time.
Maybe.
Cracked it.
A simulation directed by the one and only Hasan Kharaman, right? Is that where you're going with it? Is he in control of the simulation?
Yeah. Hasan Kharaman is actually like the real entity, and Hideo Kojima is his projection.
Yeah. Hideo Kojima is a false prophet.
Fucking there's the cult again. Fucking get Moloch on the line.
Exactly. If you worship him, bad things will happen. It's one of the commandments. It was written on the stone.
Let's be fair, though. If there was a cult leader in gaming, I mean, Hideo Kojima is the closest thing, right?
100%. He can easily weaponize his fan base.
Yeah.
Is there not a bigger one? Is there not like someone else? Maybe no, I guess not.
In terms
I don't
of
think there's anyone bigger than Kojima in terms of like.
Probably right.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, if Activision decided to start putting subliminal messages in Call of Duty lobbies, you would have a number of people in their early teens who could probably gain access to their parents' firearms and cause a lot of havoc. But
Jesus,
obviously that's a company, not an individual. Bobby Kotick, there you go. He's the real leader.
Oh, Bobby
Kotick, goodness. But yeah, fellas. So guess what? Surprise, surprise. This fucking app that would have played the trailer just didn't work. So the time came and left. They kind of tweeted out, "Oh, we've got some delays, some technical issues. Oh, the patch didn't load or whatever." All fucking bullshit, because that's obviously bullshit. But yeah, there was basically, what was it? It was like a little message that said, "Check back soon."
That was the message that was
That's been there for a while, yeah.
Because that's what Jonesy used for the thumbnail 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly. And guess what? It's not back. At least at the point of recording, which is like late at night on Thursday, that, it's still not there, fellas. They did tweet out that, quote unquote, "We are still working to resolve the issue we are facing. We wanted to remind you that we are a small studio without the wide resources to quickly resolve an issue. We want to deliver a highly polished product and a good representation of the game that functions as intended." That was my Hasan voice. I don't know if you enjoyed that or appreciated it at the very least.
That's good. That's good, yeah.
Yeah.
Was it after last week's show that we found out as well that the interview that Hasan had done with, is it I'm getting confused now. Is it Al Hub had done a podcast?
Yeah.
And he'd asked them to pull the interview.
No, that was the same night that all this was happening. That was the evening of the 10th.
Oh, that was the 10th. Which I guess is because he talked about, you have to assume, right, if it's all above board, that is because he talked about stuff that was actually going to be in the trailer, assuming people would have already seen it, but the point at which the podcast came out, and then because didn't want to spoil it, I guess. But it's all a bit weird.
But what's the point of that even? Like, you've just fucking delayed your thing. Like, so? Who cares? Why'd you have to pull a fucking podcast interview?
Well, because if you like talk about it and there are technically like spoilers for the trailer that you don't want people to know, then I could see why you'd pull that.
But that interview went out, didn't it?
No, I don't think it did. I think they pulled it before it went live.
I don't
That
know.
was-
I couldn't.
I'd have to
Yeah,
double check.
I
Let
don't know.
me double check on the fly while we're chatting about this.
Alright,
I thought they said that they pulled it before it went live.
I'm not
Alex
sure.
Jones, our own. Oh shit! Hold on a second.
Yeah.
I've just fucking made a crazy connection. I am going to check something now. This is ridiculous.
Am I
Jamie,
going to be the only person that's not fact checking?
Yes, just speak some words, okay?
Okay. So, did you hear about the?
Oh no, okay, yeah, you don't have to worry anymore. I was wrong.
Okay.
I interrupted you. I'm sorry. Do you want to finish your thought?
It was less of a thought and more of a joke, and I can't really remember it. I was going to kind of. It wasn't one that I was making up as I was going along. I'm not going to go that far. I'm
Okay.
pulling from something, but I just can't really remember how to say it. You know when you can't remember how words should sound out loud when structured in a certain order?
Totally, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those where I remember all the components of the joke, but I don't remember how to say it. I don't remember how to speak it in the English language. Not sure my
Okay.
tongue would allow.
Wow.
I mean, Jonesy's still got his head in a swivel. I could give it a go.
Sure.
In fact, no, I'm not going to give it a go.
Hey, listen, we're back, baby. We're back, okay? No, I just thought that Jonesy is doing his own little April O'Neil fucking TMNT reporting.
Yes.
Coming to you live from fucking Turtle City.
He's really struggling as well. That's what I'm
Yeah,
loving
I
about
am. I'm struggling to find this thing.
Oh my god. But yeah, I mean, it's no fucking surprise. But what is interesting is that there was, oh god, it's just so fucking ridiculous. On the same time that this happened, Kojima was tweeting images of a little like vinyl toy that I guess he'd been sent. Looked almost like Sackboy-esque, but it had a zip on where his mouth is. Is it saying like, oh, he's not going to tell that the fucking app doesn't work? Or are people just fucking drawing parallels where there are no fucking parallels? It goes, yeah.
Is it just a Kojima Sackboy? Because Sackboy does have a zipper on his mouth, you know?
Exactly right. Well, you know, ooh,
Who knows?
who knows? But then it gets a little bit sneakier, fellas. So the app is still not working at the time of this recording, but what has happened is the anniversary of PT, the playable teaser to Silent Hills, which all of this is supposedly mixed into. Now, you would think that if it was a PT-esque kind of thing, that they would have just released it today on the anniversary. It's like, oh, look, you know, there's the fucking parallel. But it doesn't seem to be the case. Further than that, Hideo Kojima, at the time of recording, so today, he shared an image of a book that he's been reading. But the title has caught people's eyes because it's called Murder in an Abandoned Amusement Park by, you know, a Japanese author. And on the cover of this book is an animatronic pink bunny that looks like Robbie the bunny, or whatever it's fucking called, from Silent Hills 2. So is it a real thing? Are they all just kind of like having fun with it, quote unquote? Are people trying to capitalize off of the internet's kind of stupid obsession with this? And I'm grouping myself in that stupid obsession because I keep on covering it. Or, and it's the feeling that I've started to come around to, has it gone too far? Are people now just getting stupidly irresponsible with all of this? Like, it paints a bad picture, right? So I think less so from Blue Box, because if they are independent, they're just kind of like doing all they can to kind of promote their game, which is by all intents an indie game.
Mm-hmm.
If it's Kojima, then like, why are they having such technical issues with the app? Because you'd imagine that there is some serious brain power behind there to kind of get this shit working. But the thing that I'm maybe more disappointed in is Sony's silence on this whole thing. In a weird way, like it just kind of feels that like all of this is like a circus, and because they're getting into this like app territory where it's like, hey, we're releasing this app, and this app is like, it's a Sony fucking thing on your PlayStation. And Sony are just still being very quiet about it. It just seems all a little bit irresponsible. I think the only thing that can happen at the end of this is people are going to be hurt by it.
I don't know. I mean, you posed a lot of questions and thoughts there in the last 5 minutes, so I don't 100% know where to start. But like, I don't picking up on that last thread. I don't know if I agree with you.
Yeah.
In kind of like,
I'm not saying that like Sony needs to
how
say, like,
Sony have
it's
any
one or the other
responsibility
way.
in all of this. Yeah, like I don't see how any of this is any of their responsibility. They create the platform, so to speak, but like I don't see how any of this has come into the territory where they might need to marshal or police it in a way that they wouldn't ordinarily do. And ultimately, without sounding too harsh, I think anyone that kind of feels like they are getting to the point where they are being, I forget the words you use, but anyone who feels like they're actually being bothered or harmed by any of this, it's like, pull the plug on yourself, like get out. Like, who cares? It's a fucking video game.
I'm not saying more from the fans' perspective. I'm saying from like the people working on this. Like, if you cast your mind back to, funnily enough, the 50th anniversary of No Man's Sky, like all the build-up hit a fever pitch, and that was an indie game studio, and it kind of blew up in their faces at the time. They've obviously come right with it, but people got hurt from that, from the developer side. So if it is Blue Box just being an indie kind of thing, and they have gone on the record stating that all of this coverage, quote unquote coverage, from saying, oh, is it a Hideo Kojima game, has negatively impacted the development of the game. Like,
yeah, but even with the No Man's Sky comparison, like people would look at that and say that, okay, most rational people like us ended up feeling sorry for people like Sean Murray and Hello Games because like that volume of abuse, and especially when it gets to death threats and all that kind of shit, is like no one's ever going to condone that. But on the flip side, if there's a moral or if there's a lesson you learn from the Hello Games and No Man's Sky situation is, if you get to the point where you have to go onto national television in the US to talk about your upcoming video game, try not to lie about what it is. That's a pretty good fundamental lesson learned there. And don't get me wrong, I had the utmost sympathy for Sean Murray. I think he's a good dude, and I'm glad it's ended up being a redemption story. But I don't know, if Hasan is telling porcupines, or if Hasan is like intentionally misleading people, then history's already told you what's going to happen to you and how you're going to be vilified. I'm not saying it's fair, but do I need to do the vast quote?
So I found the thing that Alhab said, but it's not that exciting. It just says Hasan Kharaman's interview was removed from our website at the request from the developer. So it, was, it doesn't actually say if it was part of the podcast, just said it was an interview, so it could be written as well. But I kind of agree with Jamie, though. I don't think Sony have really got, I don't think they necessarily have anything to do rather than sit back and let a studio do their shit. Like they give them access to like put the app up and stuff, but they're not. It's not like a first party game. It's not like a big studio that anything's gonna come back to them. I don't see why they should jump in front of it and try and sort it out.
Maybe I'm not explaining myself.
Well, I mean, because I think also it's like, and Chris, I don't know if this helps or hurts, but like if you reframed it as a question of like, what should Sony be doing differently? Does that help pinpoint where they might be going wrong in your sort of estimation?
Yeah, maybe. Like the point is like, a company could say that they are this or that and be playing this kind of like ARG thing, whatever you want to call it. But as soon as you start getting, and I know I'm not explaining it right, but I probably won't be able to explain it right, but I'll try. As soon as you start saying like, oh, here's this app that you're going to get through the fucking Sony store, and it's going to be a timed thing, and it's the first time it's ever happened. Because it's the first time it's ever happened, surely they've been in contact with Sony, and surely Sony has greenlit it. But then it's meant to come on this big day of launch, and loads of people are trying to like have a look at this thing because they would have known how many people have downloaded it from the store and how many people are waiting for the update. And then it kind of blows up in their faces. So it's almost like egg on the face of Sony that like they allowed this to happen, but it's like
one of those.
It's like a bad press kind of thing, but it's like.
See, I don't think it is, but I think it's interesting because almost like so you think it is Kojima, right? You still think it's Kojima,
100%.
So this is the thing. I think if you think it is Kojima, and it's Sony, obviously would be talking to Kojima, then it will be Kojima. Through whatever means, kind of tricking people and double crossing people.
So you're saying Kojima
Sony
was sat in like a board meeting with fucking the board of Sony, going, "We'll release an app and tell them that the trailer releases on a certain day." But when they go there, nothing happens.
No. I even if it's supposed to, and there was genuine technical difficulties, but it was Kojima, then I think it's a different thing, right? Because then it's Sony working with probably the most well-known dev who can make millions of people buy games through just a mention of a title sort of thing. So Sony would be there paying very close attention. But if it isn't,
you see what you've done now.
But if it is actually just a small team and it's Hasan Kharaman, Sony probably don't even care. It's probably not even on their radar. They're like, we've got this trailer of a little app that people can download, and Sony are like, yeah, sounds cool, mate. Like, no one's going to be that bothered. It's new tech, like whatever. Roger from New Tech is dealing with it. Like the bigwigs at Sony probably haven't even heard about this. We're in this bubble of people thinking about it and talking about these conspiracy theories, but Sony probably not even on most of their radars, and they don't really give a shit because it isn't Kojima and it's not Konami and it's nothing interesting.
And also, like, again, I'd have to go back and read sort of like the blog posts and things like that, but I feel like a lot of the world first real-time experience kind of rhetoric has been driven by Blue Box themselves. They're, in Sony's eyes, they're releasing a game, they're just calling it a real-time trailer experience. You know, Sony aren't like creating a new category in the store for them.
Yes, it's almost like when PT launched, right?
Right. It's like
look what he did there.
But PT was launched by Konami.
Like a hook, line, and sinker.
No, I don't. Sorry, no, I don't understand what that has to do with what I said.
No, because he's just throwing out PT. He's like, oh, it's like PT launch, right? It's just getting another little bit of bait on the hook. It's not like PT.
What, in terms of like developers classifying their experience, like trying to make their product sound like something like more of an experience than it actually is, like they're making a playable teaser when it's just a demo. Kind of thing. Yeah.
But also PT obviously is Kojima, and this isn't. I think he's playing with the audience.
One interesting note though on the idea of like, do Sony even know this is happening? On the night, Shu Yoshida did share a screenshot of his PlayStation, and he was for some reason looking at the store page for Abandoned, and he hadn't downloaded the real-time experience app. So how he was planning on taking part, I don't know. But also, Chris, the noise you just made was the only caption that went along with the post. Shu Yoshida just tweeted with the Abandoned store page. So
yeah, you see, so it's almost like you're saying, oh, Sony isn't getting involved, but
someone at Sony knows about it.
They're along for the ride. They're complicit.
It's because we were talking before the pod about the fact that if the fact that they know how the Blue Box, know how like the system works. They've got everyone to install, a lot of people to install this app. They're doing updates. They know how this works. So because I think Jamie was saying that, do we believe the technical difficulties line? But to me, you could read that and you could say, look, they keep updating it. They keep changing things. They keep doing this. This is all a game. They know what they're doing. But to me, if I think about us and being editors and working on YouTube stuff and uploading content to the web, the time which you upload multiple variations of things and you keep doing it and you haven't set it live yet, it's because you keep getting it friggin' wrong. It's not because you know what you're doing and it's carefully sculpted and you do one update. Like, they keep doing patches because they can't make the thing work.
A game like that, especially an offline game that doesn't require a server connection, isn't something where like you push the go button at whatever it was, 9 p.m. on the 10th, and then go, oopsie daisy, doesn't work. Games don't work like that. 150 gigabyte games don't work like that. Like, 24 hours earlier what's going on. You know the state of the game. You know what the latest build that you've uploaded to Sony is. You know whether or not it passed certification, especially if you've patched it multiple times during the week. I don't believe for a second that how big was the download, Jonesy?
Oh God, I can't actually even remember.
Small, less
was
than
it like
10,
150 meg or something? Was it really small?
Megabytes.
Was it like?
I don't believe for a second that any piece of software that's as small as this thing, in all likelihood, is like that they can get to the point where the thing's meant to come out, where some playable teaser, no, not even playable, some real-time experience trailer is about to come out, and you're like, "Oops, doesn't work," and you still haven't figured it out 48 hours later. I don't believe you.
Oh, see, no, but
like you're hiding.
Small...
You're running and hiding. No,
I do.
Fuck
I do.
Studio.
If it's a small studio who upload
is
the
it,
thing,
Jonesy? Let me think. Is it finished? Is the real-time experience ready? In your opinion, behind the scenes?
Oh, so I'm torn. I don't know. Either the thing is that they've got that it is. So these are my two theories at the moment. They're a small studio who haven't managed to get it working. They were trying to get it done for the date, and they just didn't say that it wasn't ready.
That's not a technical difficulty then, so that's a lie. Okay.
Yes. Oh no. So I don't believe the technical difficulty line. So I believe that they hadn't got it ready. So it was like it was because we said it's almost like a demo, right? It's not like a trailer where they've got a video. It's like they actually have to upload it. And it's almost like a game that that you watch it play through on your PlayStation. So let's say that they don't have it ready. They knew it wasn't ready, but they were like, we can get it done in time. And they just didn't. So the technical difficulties thing is kind of a weird way to say we haven't managed to get all the bugs out. We haven't fixed it. We haven't got it ready.
Can I put a pop that balloon for you, Jonesy?
Yeah.
Because a few hours before it was meant to go live, Blue Box Game Studios tweeted, "Are you ready?" with a snippet of the trailer.
What? I don't see why that pops the balloon.
If anything, no, it means
you don't tee up a tweet to go up live an hour before the app is meant to go live, saying, "Are you ready?" Like,
yeah, but no, but Jones is willing to acknowledge that the technical difficulties thing is a lie. He just thinks it's a different kind of lie, which means, Jonesy, I presume, in one of your theories, for example, it means you believe that the tweet that Chris is talking about is also a lie, that they knowingly misled people with that "Are you ready?" tweet because you think the whole experience wasn't even ready yet.
I don't to say a lie. I think is I'm going to say maybe
knowingly misled.
Even knowingly misled,
knowingly missold PPI.
I think maybe what happened was there was a case whereby they were going, we can get it done, and then they were like, oh my god, we're not going to be able to get this done, and then they did it.
But why would you send out a tweet if you just like wait? Yeah.
Then you tweet multiple times in the hours following, and then go radio silence for 48 hours, and you were nearly done. That
is questionable. Which leads me to theory number 2, which I think is more likely, is that they pulled it on purpose because they knew as soon as the trailer goes live and it is just an indie game by a small studio and it's friggin' obvious that that's what it is, and it's not related to Konami, to Kojima, to anything. The train comes off the tracks, and it then is just a game. And so they made a calculated decision to say, let's keep this train going a little bit longer.
That's actually basically my theory as well.
Right. Like, that's what I think actually happened.
Yeah, I'm maybe using slightly stronger language like lying when it comes to the technical difficulty side of things. But I think you and me are in agreement that like...
But then I would completely agree with you that it is an outright lie because they knew they weren't going to launch it. The tweet was bollocks and then they pulled it.
I don't think anything was meant to happen on the 10th. Now,
really?
I know that's me now delving into a different kind of conspiracy theory. We've gone from Kojima and Konami and Silent Hill conspiracies to now just like almost anti-Hasan, anti-Blue Box, like con artist conspiracies. But that's I find it easier to believe these are people who ended up in a situation that they don't know how to get out of, and so are still fumbling their way through this whole thing than I find it to believe that like Kojima, for example, is in any way involved.
To liken it to stuff that I'm used to, though, the amount of times having worked for, and looking back now, right, so as a little bit behind the curtain, working for like All Time 10s, the amount of times we put out videos that were like, they were going to go out at this time. There's a time they were supposed to go out. This is probably going back a few years, to be fair. Bang, they're going to go out at, on Friday at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like, is it going to be done? And then people are like, yeah, it's going to be done. And then other people are going, okay, yeah, it's great. Don't worry about it. It's going to be done. And then other people are going like, shit, there's no way this is getting done. And then you're sort of like, you get to 5:30 and they're like, it's half an hour late. Is it done? You're like, yeah, give me 10 minutes. And then 2 hours later, you're still doing it. Like, it feels more like that. So when I say lie, I don't think lie is accurate. Because I think it could just be that.
That's a bit skewed, right? Because you talk about something like All Time 10s where you start to build up a reputation for having to release multiple videos on multiple days at the same time and stick to a schedule, etc. Whereas this is the first thing that they've done. So they've had this self-imposed thing.
Every games company does this every time they have a launch, and they all push their games, and they're massive billion-dollar companies, and they can't even get it right.
But Chris is right. Like,
look at Cyberpunk.
Like, but Cyberpunk was from the developers of The Witcher 3. Abandoned is from the people who use bought assets and like stolen assets to release the one trailer that got them attention to begin with.
But that's because they're a small, tiny company. Like to them, I think it's just
that. Like no, like it doesn't take. Like if you have what they say they have, then you could do something about it. I don't buy
what
it.
do you mean? What do you mean by if they have what they have?
Hey, here's a radical idea. If you've got a real-time experience that runs at 4K at 60 frames a second with lifelike visuals, and you're looking for a way to appease your fan base and apologize for missing the expected launch date of your real-time experience, share a screenshot.
But this comes from
I'm no marketing or PR guy, but
this comes from a company who made content for the PlayStation 4, and they tried to do a 4K game, 60 frames a second, using 8K textures.
8K,
exactly.
Why are we surprised?
That backs up Chris's point. Like these guys have no rope left because there was no rope to begin with. They burnt the rope when they abandoned an Indiegogo when it only made $17,000 out of $50 million. Like.
That's what I think. I'm far more. I think I'm leaning now to. I think I'm leaning towards they did it on purpose to keep the train going. But there is a part of me which is like they just don't really know what they're doing, and they keep like going, "Yeah, we can do it," and then it's like, "No, you can't." We're like, "We can't do it," and I kind of. Maybe I'm stupid, but that kind of fits with me with the idea of tweeting out 2 hours before when it blatantly wasn't going to get done. Like that they were going to still do it, and do you know what I mean? That kind of weird startup mentality of.
I still
bullshit.
feel like there might be some like weird crossover though between the hypothesis you just suggested and the idea that I think there are people. I'm not going to say Hasan himself necessarily, but I think there are people associated with this project that are thinking to themselves now, how do we get out without? How do we sneak out of this house in the middle of the night? You know,
right?
I think there are people who are metaphorically taking the sheets off the bed and tying knots in them to climb out the window.
Can I tell you how you do it?
How do you do it?
You just stop.
I mean,
they haven't
tweeted all today, so
yeah, okay, but hold on. You know that if you're on a train that's about to go through a fucking brick wall, you can see the brick wall approaching. All right, you can.
Some people can't, mate. Some people can't.
You can put the brakes at any time, Jonesy. Instead, you fucking go through that brick wall, and then you wait until you see the next one, which is like bloodied and bruised.
But that's like, sorry, Chris.
They could have stopped at any time. They could have stopped at any time, and if there was someone there who kind of really thought like this train is fucking going absolutely wild, fucking pump the brakes. It's that simple.
But what if we work in some of what Jonesy was saying, and like, what if it becomes a combination of what all three of us are saying, so that Blue Box Studios see the brick wall, think, oh no, there's a brick wall. Then we go to Jonesy's idea where they go, actually, if we go fast enough, we could probably go through it anyway. So they start going faster. They've just gone through the brick wall, and then you come to my idea where you go like, actually, there's more brick walls on the other side of the brick wall. We probably need to get off this train.
The irony here is that I don't know if the audience is big enough, because I talked about this before, where we're saying like the marketing and the media and content around games can almost be a moneymaker in and of itself. And you guys, I think, pointed out fair enough that the amount of money you're going to make from something like Fortnite content is going to pale in significance to the amount of money they make through the game itself. But with a company, if it is a small company like Blue Box, if they played this right, they could make so much more money through the media attached to their game.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Than they ever could from the game sales if they played it right. But
it costs nothing to put out a tweet saying we're not Kojima, but here's a thing that links us to Kojima. You know, like
or to say like, we apologize for the delay in the real-time experience. We understand that fans have been really wanting to get their hands on something abandoned related. We hope that this will kind of make up for things in the meantime. And it's a link to store.blueboxgames.com where you can buy your abandoned t-shirts and baseball caps right now.
Yeah, pre-order now.
Yeah.
Special edition.
Can we make a prediction about what next stupid thing will Blue Box do to try and link themselves back to Kojima and then say it wasn't on purpose? I'm going to say, I think you just heard it, Jamie. They're going to put out a link which somehow half links back to Kojima Productions store page, so people think that it's like part of that. They're going to do some weird thing where they link through to Kojima Productions somehow to keep it ticking. I think that's what they'll do.
I think the very next, I'll be honest with you, I think the very next thing that actually happens from them is going to be the reveal one way or another of whether it is Kojima or whether it's just their own thing. Because it's like you guys said, like, you fucking burst through the first fucking wall. Like, at some point, there needs to be a closure here, because I do feel that from the point when your most publicized thing fails, it can only get worse. Like, they've crossed over that chasm, right? And it's like, there's no good stuff from here on out unless you fucking deliver.
Yeah.
And that's what I think.
But I was saying to you guys before we started recording that I think that if anyone was smart enough to run this whole thing as some sort of PR or publicity or marketing sort of campaign, if this was actually being orchestrated by some higher power, they would also have been smart enough to know that the 10th realistically was your time to pull out of the stops and show what you've, and like start making something that resembled a product or start promoting something that resembled a product. I think at this stage it's now gone into the territory of this could only come from the hands of people who don't know what they're doing anymore or aren't capable of doing what they thought they were doing anymore.
Yeah.
And that's why, this goes one of two ways. I think the smart move for them is to kind of, keep moving the goalposts until they literally disappear into obscurity, and everyone goes, "Oh yeah, abandoned. That
Right.
nothing ever happened."
Vaporware.
Or they do what I think a lot of people think they probably will do, which is that they have a very average, low budget, small team developed indie game that maybe eventually sees the light of day. I don't know.
It makes me sad in a way because after E3, I don't know if other people did. I'm sure other people did as well, but there was a game. I can't remember the game with the trailer for. We've already talked about it on the pod, but it looked like The Last Night, and that made me suddenly go, "Oh shit! Whatever happened to The Last Night?" That game looked incredible, and I really wanted to sort of have a go at that. So I joined the Discord server that they had because they have one where they sort of keep people up to date with it, and the devs are on there and stuff, and they chat about the game.
Replaced
was the new one, yeah. But actually, what I sort of I fell down a rabbit hole and it sort of revealed to me was the trailer for The Last Night was not the trailer for The Last Night at all. It was a mock-up of what they imagined the game would eventually look like. It was a vertical slice, not even of gameplay, of in-engine stuff. It was just, this is the art we've got, this is how it's going to look, this is what we want it to feel like. And now they even say, oh, the game's moved on from that. Because it's not even getting published by, I think it was like Raw Fury and stuff, but it's not anymore. And it's kind of changed. And they've said it will come out. They're still working on it. They've got monetary issues and stuff. And it makes me just think like there's so much more going on with studios, especially small studios, and trying to get their games out and trying to release them. And it's so much messier than I ever realized it was. Even when you get to the stage when you're a trailer at E3, on a quite a big stage being shown to the world. And I think this is part of the problem that these guys have had is they've had too much exposure and it's all just now gone.
Yeah, maybe.
I think Jamie might be right that they just fade into they abandon us and they fade into the background.
That is what some people said in the subreddit was like this was the whole point. We've been abandoned. That's the game.
Which you could say is a very Kojima thing to do.
Yeah. What if this was all just Hasan's job application? Well, like, what if this ends and the real time experience is just Hasan saying, "Mr. Kojima, hire me."
Yeah,
it's a CV. Like the most elaborate CV ever created. I'd love it if that was the case. That would be
amazing.
That would be like kind of, retribution for all of it.
The thing is, if they know, can I just one more thing? If it does just disappear now and it never comes out, the app disappears off the store. Hasan deletes his Twitter. Blue Box disappear. There will be lists on listicle channels on YouTube in 10 years' time talking about Blue Box Games abandoned and how it was linked to Kojima, and it could well be Kojima, and it was the thing that never came out. Yep. So that will seal its place in infamy if they do that.
I agree.
But what's the benefit, fellas?
There isn't, but it's one of those things that you can never disprove what people think when they get so far down a rabbit hole of a conspiracy theory of a whatever.
Can we? A way to kind of put a bow on all of this is maybe just to get updated theories from you guys, what you actually believe is going on, because it is a lot. I think I can guess, and I think the listeners can probably guess, but let's just wrap it up in that way, right? So I'm still very much on board the Kojima way. I think, I mean, Kojima's a playful guy, and most certainly it could have nothing to do with Kojima, and he could still theoretically think, oh well, the internet thinks I'm part of it, so I'll just fucking have fun with it because I'm Kojima. And it's like, okay, that's fair enough. But I do very much still think it's fucking Kojima. Let's go on, Jonesy. What do you say?
I've got to give it to shout out and quote P.A. Felton, who in all of our videos recently we've talked about this, just says it's not Kojima. Every time someone says it's Kojima, it's not Kojima. It's a small company that have got in a bit of a pickle.
Yeah, but Jonesy, if you look at P.A. Felton's profile picture, it's actually a stock image that Kojima himself bought off of, Getty. So
that is Kojima.
How far down the rabbit hole do you want to go? Kojima saying it's not Kojima because it actually is Kojima. No offense, Pierre.
enough.
You're a real person.
Fair enough.
So it's Kojima, or is he?
Or is he? He's Hasan Kharaman's projection. So sorry, Jonesy. So you
No, it's not. There's no way it's Kojima.
But if it's not Kojima,
it's not Kojima. It's not Konami. It's just Hasan Kharaman. It is Blue Box Game Studios.
So
they're just making a little game.
So you think it is the world's most? What's the word? You think that it's just basically a bunch of prolifically inept indie developers who are way over their heads?
Not inept at all. I think it's just indie developers, and usually when these things happen with indie developers, we don't see it because we don't talk about it. But because this time it's in the daylight, everyone's looking at everything that happens. We're all reading into every little thing. But normally that doesn't happen. Like, they don't get any of it. And that, like, think of all the documentaries you've watched about indie game developers and how insane those production processes are and what goes on with those. Because a lot of them are nutters as well. Yeah. Like, because otherwise you have to be an indie game dev in a lot of ways.
Yeah, what was it? Indie Game the movie?
Yeah, to get your thing realized, you have to be like crazy into it and trying to get it made, because it's a labor of love and it's time, commitment, everything. And some stuff that goes on is kind of crazy, but we'd never see it until after the fact. And so I think this is just that, before the fact.
What about you, big man? Jam Bigelow?
I agree with Jonesy. I think there's absolutely no doubt in my mind that this is in no way Kojima. I think this is an independent developer making a small-scale horror project who stumbles into comparisons to Hideo Kojima and the works of Konami and the Silent Hill franchise, realizes that it's good publicity, leans into it harder. Some of that is rewarded with more publicity. The other part of it is punished with people taking it and running with it much further than the original people could have ever imagined. And I think now they're just caught at that crossroads of, like, you know, ditch it all and try and find the easiest way out, or release this project come what may. And, you know, the other thing that we haven't really mentioned yet in terms of, like, how big this is, how important this is, whether or not Sony should care, whether or not it has an impact on sales, blah, 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 blah. Like, the communities around this game, and we've been into it in this podcast, but the communities around this game are small. You know, whether you're talking about Hasan's Twitter account or whether you're talking about the Blue Box Conspiracy subreddit, you're talking about single-digit thousands of people. Hideo Kojima games sell millions of units regardless of how he publicizes them. If this were a marketing exercise for the next big AAA Hideo Kojima game, it would in some respects be a weird failure by some of those metrics.
That's a good point. It's a really good point.
Yeah.
So I just don't see it being real. Sorry, no, that's not bad. That's poor phrasing. I don't see it being connected to Kojima. But I am damn curious to know how the story ends. That's one thing that's absolutely for sure.
The thing that kills me is I think there's a very high possibility that it just never ends. It fizzles and it just disappears, but we'll never get the closure that...
True.
Well, I don't think you guys care about the closure, but I certainly do, because it's fucking Kojima.
I do care. But then I'm so it becomes apparent every time we talk about it how much we are into the little circle jerk of online sort of people that we talk about shit that most people don't care about because slow news weeks, and you're like, this is interesting. Should we talk about this? And then, like you said, it's a couple of thousand people that actually care, and we blow it up into like a big story, and then it's all just the other podcasts listening to other podcasts about the same story, and it just blows it up when most people don't give a shit.
Well, here's the madness of all of it is we're covering it because we don't really have much else to cover.
Totally.
And it's fun to talk about. It's fun to speculate. I love a good conspiracy theory. It's fun to like speculate and talk about. And
I love delving down the rabbit hole, and I like kind of like chatting to you guys about going down the rabbit hole, because sometimes like you guys kind of play it cool on the podcast from time to time, but you get down that slide from time to time with me.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But
like I never do. Go back to our first conversation about it. I was like teetering on the edge of it. I had like 1 foot half down the rabbit hole, probably.
I think it was a couple of weeks ago, like you guys were saying stuff, and then I stayed up till like 4 a.m, just like reading Reddit and looking at threads and watching videos, and it was how have you done this to me again?
Definitely. I complained that to you guys about the other night. Like, they've done it to me again. Because I was, refreshing things live on the night of the 10th, thinking like, why is this happening? Why have Alhub tweeted that?
No,
why
hold on,
the Blue Box website done this?
Hold on, can we get into it? Because I obviously
Can
don't
we get
have...
into it?
Well, just very quickly, I obviously don't have a PS5. You guys do, and I was like, hey guys, this is going to go live.
Oh, right, I know that you guys do.
Please let me know what happens. And Jonesy, you said, oh yeah, I think you said I'm going to be at the gym or something, but I'll check it out when I get back. And then Jamie says, not interested, not going to even bother checking it out. And then not even an hour later, Jamie's like, what the fuck is going on? This is happening, this is happening, this is happening. I was like, yep, they got him.
I went for a shit and checked my phone, okay? And it was all blown up.
I must admit, every time I've put my PlayStation on, like the last week, I've cracked the app on to see if there's any update.
Yeah, check back soon, Jonesy.
Can I make a prediction about what the issue they're actually having is? Because this would make kind of sense to me. I reckon they've shot themselves in the foot. I reckon the frame rate is trash on the PlayStation 5 and the real time. If they'd have just made a video, it would have been fine.
Are you saying they're still using those 8K textures, yeah?
Yeah, they've done something which means the frame rate is trash, and then they can't get it to look very good. So they keep uploading tweaks to try and patch it, to tweak it, to say maybe play it like this, maybe turn this off, and they're trying to get to a decent frame rate.
And in the end, it just looks like a PS1 game. And Hasan tweets, real-time experience now, available in a silky smooth 60 frames a second.
But do you know what? I'm also going to call it 16K textures. They've gone.
Wow, 16K.
I love it.
It's the future. That's a forward-looking indie, for sure.
There you go.
Guys, listen, it feels like we've been talking about Abandon for about 2 years now. Which leads me onto the comment of the week.
Very nice. I like it.
Shocker. And talking about shockers, this one comes in from Shell Shock. Boom, double whammy, double segue. Shell Shock says, can you believe we've been listening to you for almost 2 years just on this channel? Like, fuck me, time flies. New drinking game, though. Take a shot whenever Jamie forces a segue.
I feel like Jamie's segues are usually on point. So I don't think he forces. I don't think it's fair to say forces a segue.
I feel like the joke is halfway between the two. Like, there are some good ones, and then the problem is that sometimes I try and do one when I don't have one, and so I wait to see if words come out of my mouth.
See, I would say Chris's one leading into this was more of a force than most of the ones you do.
But Chris is preparing. Chris has got an annotated version of a document with red writing all over it.
Yeah, Google Documents, you could put comments, and I comment to myself, like, make sure to save this to go into this. But come on, that was pretty decent.
It was all right. I know I'm the worst by far, so I'm not even going to argue it.
Well, you know who's not going to argue it is our lovely patron. I can't even carry it on.
I love it.
I can't even carry on.
Great.
But yes.
Yeah, fair. Yeah.
It's that time of the show, fellas, where we talk about our Patreon. Patreon.com/SuperShow. This entire social experiment, because that's what people do on the internet these days, right?
It's actually a real-time experience.
Oh, yeah. It's an OT, original trailer, real-time experience that you can only download on a PS5. It doesn't work, but if you go somewhere else, it does work. But yeah, all of this is made possible through Patreon and, of course, our generous sponsors on Patreon. Some call them patrons. So if you would like to help support the show, and we really do hope that you support the show, even if it's just through a like or comment or a review or a listen, that does the long way. But hey, hard cash, baby. Nothing's better. But yeah, if you support our Patreon, then you can get access to our Discord server where we are on there kind of chatting. It's been a bit quiet this week, so maybe we need some fresh blood. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Get out your wallet, please. And if you pledge as little as $5, you get access to our back catalog of Patreon exclusive stuff, really, including our latest creation, Known Murderer. That's right. We did a true crime podcast the only way that we could possibly do it, which is like pretty shittily, but very funny. But although, actually, you know what? That's harsh, because Jonesy did the research on that one, and he hosted it, and he did such a fucking great job. Last thing I would call that is shitty. The prep that man did is absolutely insane. But yeah, go check it out. We've got a little bit of something for everybody. But talking about a little bit of something for everybody, here's something a little bit about the patrons that give us the money?
Yeah.
Take a shot on that one. I am, of course, talking about the very generous people such as Aaron Cameron, Athletic Gravy, Jesper Camdal Nielsen, Javella Cujo, Leo Merga, Lonnie Thompson, Magic Grits, Mindful Pig, Nathan Piers, one of the 5 guys that can back up Jonesy isn't homophobic.
Hell yeah.
Wow. Okay. Pastor Killed, Scary Omen, Starfall Kid, and Sacrifice. That's a great fucking name. Oh my God.
What a throwback. I like it because it's a throwback to one of my jokes. It just reminds everyone how funny I am.
Wow. Okay. I don't remember you saying that joke, and now you're just coming across as like needy.
Wait, you don't remember that joke? That was a real good off the cuff one. It was like a real dinger.
Obviously not iconic, not like getting throat cancer from Catherine Zeta-Jones. Then, of course, there are the big boys, and we are talking about Shellshock himself, our commenter of the week. No, he didn't force us to choose his comment. We're just great, generous like that. Hacksaw Book Read, Manuel El Jefe Guerrero, Peaswad, and the Dude Abides. Thank you all so much, whether we read your name out or you are
Thank you all.
just supporting us by watching the show or giving a like or a comment, whatever it is. We do appreciate each and every single one of you and your mothers. And in Jonesy's case, your fathers too.
No rush, showing up.
Well, there we go. All right, fellas, let's catch up on what we've been doing since the last time we recorded this podcast, because there's been some cool shit. Like Jonesy alluded to, he actually had a decent gaming week, and I can kind of say the same. Kind of.
Yeah, good. That's positive, right?
Well, the intention was there for sure. Should I start it? Might as well. Change of pace, all right? Because we all managed to jump into that Back for Blood.
The closed open beta.
The closed open beta, which was open to us, but it might have been closed to you. And it's a hell of a lot of fun. And in fact, at the time of recording, the open beta is now open. So
to the 16th, right? So people have got a few days, even if you're hearing this on the 13th.
Hell yeah.
Should be able to hop in there, have a little play over the weekend.
So we jumped in, the 3 of us. It was meant to be 4 of us with Steph, but Steph kind of was otherwise occupado. So we did just team up with some random. Who knows? He might have even been a bot, fellas. Might have been Hideo Kojima or Hasan Kharaman himself. Who knows? Anything is possible these days. But yeah, I think it's safe to say that I can speak for both of you in saying that we had a good time.
Yeah, I had a good time. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
See, and that's especially important coming from Jonesy, who hates Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead style games.
I don't hate them. It's just they've never really grabbed me. But I did actually think this was. So I guess I played the. I don't know what it was when we played it before, like another beta or an alpha or whatever. But
yeah, that was an alpha, yeah.
But it was some of the waiting and maybe some of the difficulty and stuff was a bit off, and it was just, I don't know, I didn't really feel it as much. But we played it this time, and yeah, I had a much better time. Enjoyed it. It felt pretty decent.
Hell yeah. I know it hasn't been without its, I'm not going to say controversy, because there's no controversy to it, but without its kind of like naysayers that didn't enjoy the open-closed beta. But we fucking had a blast, and we played it on the Friday, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, we played it on the Friday, and then we tried to play it on the Saturday, didn't manage. Then we tried to play it on the Sunday, and I think we failed on that as well. Then we tried to play it on the Monday, but by the time we tried to play it, the open closed beta was closed.
I think there was one more session that you didn't make it to, Chris. I think Steph, Jonesy, and I played it once to finish what we couldn't manage finishing when we played on the Friday.
Yeah, yes. Because the first act was available in the beta? Is that?
Yeah. Right, yes. It's like Act 1, which was split into 2 chapters.
Yeah.
And each chapter is made up of 4 checkpoints, if you will, I think.
Or maps or whatever.
Yeah. Although it seems what I read the other day, this obviously doesn't give an indication of how long it is. But rather than, the reason they're called acts rather than campaigns like Left 4 Dead is rather than completely separate things, there is actually a continuity. Like it is somewhat linear, like each act will lead into the next one in terms of the story and where the characters are at, I guess. But it's not a story-driven experience.
Wow. Well, there you go. Yeah, I loved it. I played as a sniper, just chilling at the back, pot shotting dudes, doing big damage. It was nice. It was fun. I really enjoyed it, I mean, always good to kind of play with your friends. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to Back for Blood. I would highly recommend trying out the open beta and see how you feel about it. And definitely make sure you got some friends. Get on the old Discord, have a good time.
Can I give it some extra high praise to say that? Well, from me anyway, for someone who doesn't really like Left 4 Dead that much, was I enjoyed it that much that on the summer sale on the PlayStation, I bought World War Z for £6.50.
All right.
So I can hop in and have a little bit more of that.
You know what? World War Z
co-op mode experience.
World War Z is a similarly like fun co-op zombie shooter. Like that wasn't a game that I think a lot of people thought would be dumb because of the tie-in, and it was totally decent. I played it with Steph once.
You played it on stream.
I've not played it, so I thought I'd have a little go.
There you go.
Yeah, Steph played it on stream, didn't he? Did you play it on stream with him?
Did I play it on stream with him? Maybe. It was free on the Epic Games Store, but this was like a year ago, maybe even longer. Yeah, so that's how I ended up playing it. But yeah, I'm totally with you guys. Like, I'd be actually curious to see what some of the sort of the detractors for Back 4 Blood are saying. I'm sure there are people who've got their thoughts as always, but for us, it's like it's kind of hard to have a bad time when you're playing a co-op shooter with your friends.
Yeah.
And so naturally we had a good time, but that's not to say that the game itself didn't do its fair share of heavy lifting. I thought like the shooting felt like really nice and sort of like. If you could complain about Left 4 Dead, it's like it's a bit like floaty and there's no ADS and things like that. Guns have a bit more heft in this, decent gun variety. Like they try to mix up objectives in terms of like when hordes might come at you and where from and what you might have to do to progress. And, you know, there's bits where you're planting bombs in a ship and having to get out in time. Like it does mix up objectives. And of course, like Chris, the card system really seems like a cool way to bring replayability, right? Like,
yeah. So they had these kind of you unlock cards as you play, and a lot of them are kind of like perks, but in each kind of segment in the acts, like chapters within the acts, you unlock these things called corruption cards, and the corruption cards kind of like add a rule set, let's say, for your playthrough, and they kind of keep stacking, but they can change the game in very interesting ways. One of them that we encountered was it just created a really thick fog in the map that you were in. And that obviously changes the dynamic because me playing as a sniper, I was actually pretty completely useless in that particular map. Because it's like, what could I do? I can't snipe because I can't fucking see anything.
One of my criticisms would be of that is that I immediately thought the fog one, when you said about the corruption cards. I think they maybe because it's the beta, but there's some more variety and some more interesting types of corruption cards. I'm sure there are, and it'll be interesting to play levels with them because I can't. Most of them I seem to remember were things like get all the way to the end with your entire squad. Like don't only have to revive once. Try and do headshots on whatever. They were more like do this and you get an extra reward. But that fog one was added a completely different element to the level. It'd be interesting to play different ones through different ways.
One of the other corruption cards was like the normal shambler kind of dudes, your kind of, I don't know, your bullet fodder, as it were. They were armored on the next one, as an example, or they're faster, or whatever it might be. Yeah. And Jamie, I think it was you who mentioned it at the time we were playing. It's like, oh, right, this is how they are kind of going for that replayability.
Yeah. And it's a cool way to address something that people did eventually start to say about Left 4 Dead, which is that like, do you really want to play these campaigns over and over again? I think it's not an unusual takeaway for a beta, right? Like how much can we extrapolate from this to get a picture of the final release? How many cards will there be, and how much variety will they offer? But it's a promising system, and even when you get a bit of like synergy in the cards that you're picking from your own deck. Like, we only really had starter cards to pick from, but you can still get that. There's that moment where you realize, like, okay, this card replaces my melee with a knife that kills most zombies in one hit. This card gives me HP replenishment for each melee kill. So you can kind of start to build decks around, and it seems like a weird concept for a zombie game, I know, but build literally decks of cards around certain play styles. And I'd imagine as you kind of fit into the archetypes that we did, where it's like Criticism Sniper, for example, like, can you get cards more befitting of your, like, if you kill a zombie from over 30 feet away, you get, you know, or you reload all of your teammates' guns. Like, if there's shit like that, then, like, you're laughing because that's replayability up the arse.
Yeah, no, I love it. And one of the criticisms I had, which was less a criticism and more kind of like a worry for the main release, was it seemed that there were only 4 acts to this game, from what I could see when we launched up in the beta. And it's kind of like, is that enough content? I don't think so. Like, we could have finished that first act in a playthrough. I had to get pulled away abruptly, like with 2 chapters in that act to go. And like, I think if that's the case, like a group of friends could finish it in a day.
I guess maybe the model they're going for is that you get a lot of add-on stuff, so you can add extra acts on, I suppose. And it would, because of the way the game works, it'd be quite easy to have additional stuff.
Yeah, if they say each month there's another act, like, fucking amazing.
Also,
speculation, obviously.
Steph and I, when we were playing on one of the nights, did stumble into another mode that was in the beta, but we couldn't, like, the matchmaking to work when we were playing it. It's this versus mode, and the way it seems to work is that it pits 2 teams against each other, 2 teams of 4. And in the first round, one team will be humans and the other team will be zombies. Spawn in as a special zombie. You get to choose which one you want to be. So I was one of the ones that, like, spit goop from a distance and could leap around.
Wow.
You also get
jizzing Jamie, yeah?
I was basically the jizz monster. Yeah, I was just jizzing from everywhere. Just, like, standing. Yeah, I'm not going to. What was it? Beat 'em and eat 'em. Was that the game about jizzing from the rooftops? Because that was me.
Wow.
So that was cool. And I think.
So could you be one of those, like, the dudes with the big arms or something?
Yeah, you could be. You could be the massive dude. You could be the dude with the big arm. And I think the way it worked was something along the lines of, like, in round 1, the human team will go first, like, surviving as long as they have a looting period, a looting time. They then survive as long as they can, with humans intermittently respawning in as special infected. Then when everyone dies, it saves your time, sides flip, and then the other team get a go at trying to stay alive as long as you did.
That's pretty
cool.
And
then that would be cool. A round.
Okay.
Yeah, it was interesting.
So was it with the humans being special zombies, did they also have all the shamblers as well?
Yes, it still has AI shamblers like regular.
Yeah, nice.
It was a game mode that Steph and I struggled to get to grips with because it didn't matchmake for us. So we were a team of 2 against a team of 3, and we were humans first. We didn't really know what we were doing, where to loot, like how big the map was, because they're like closed areas.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm saying that's there, I guess.
Well, that's to be expected though, right?
Yeah, kind of. Left 4 Dead 2 had something similar, right?
Yeah. Then we tried to play again, and we were about an hour too late to play again as a group of us because the beta had closed. So then we tried to play The Ascent, and we just couldn't get into a proper match. Like, I don't know if it was a bug or we were just being stupid or whatever it was. And then we tried to play some Apex, but then Jonesy needed an update on the Apex, and we didn't manage that. And it was one of those days where, like, you try and play a game and just it all goes fucking wrong. And I think at the end of the day, we just kind of called it, right? We didn't play.
I think I had to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I had to,
yeah. You didn't have long to play anyway, so.
Yeah. But the one game I did play after that was Curse of the Dead Gods, which is on Games Pass, which is kind of like it kind of seems like a Hades light, but it's a game that I've been wanting to play. I've heard good things. And yeah, I fucking enjoyed it. It's a roguelite. It's just based about runs. So Jonesy would fucking love it. You just do runs and runs and runs and runs and unlock more and more shit. It's cool. It's addictive and it's nice.
Sorry guys, can I do one of these?
Cool.
Apologies. I'll be back in 1 minute.
Cool, addictive, and it's nice.
Cool, addictive, nice.
Cool, addictive, and nice.
Sounds like drugs.
Hey. Break 108 50-ish. All right, cool. Well, we've already been recording for an hour, so
we're making it work, baby.
Teamwork makes the dream work. Da, 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 da. Bum, 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 bum. bum, 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 bum. But yeah, bro, Curse of the Dead Gods. If you interested in getting that,
I've got so much games I'm playing at the moment.
Yeah. The problem is for Curse of the Dead Gods, I think, unfortunately, is it does. I mean, I haven't played it, but it does seem like a light version of Hades, and the problem is that like Hades is on Game Pass,
right?
Or like tomorrow, I thought it was today, maybe. But yeah, like in a couple,
it's very soon, right?
Yeah, it's either out or it's out in the next couple of days. So it's kind of like, well, what'd you fucking do, right?
Oh man, it's gonna be like this though for the rest of the year. Like all these I got invited to the technically I'm not even allowed to tell you, but I got invited to the FIFA 22 closed thing yesterday.
Cool.
But they want me to play a part of the game that I only play with Zach and Sonny, and neither of them got invited. So it's like, fuck's sake.
How'd you get invited? Like, what is it for?
It's their closed beta, but the way their closed beta is, it's not like an apply and you'll get in thing. It's literally like you get approached based on your playtime.
Oh, right, on your playtime.
Yeah, well, I'm still the guy. I play like there was one year where I played like 400 or 500 hours of FIFA in 1 year, and just the single player without doing Ultimate Team. So I think I usually get into the career mode, but this year they put me in pro clubs.
Weird. Is pro clubs, the one where you play just the one position?
Exactly that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a bit annoying. You're gonna have to play with a bunch of randoms.
But it's all embargoed until like for another month.
Weird, man.
So like I get to have to play this weird game mode, and like I'm always paranoid that if I don't take it seriously and fill out the feedback form seriously, then they won't include me the year after.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also didn't get any luck with. I was not surprised, but I didn't get any luck with the Battlefield technical test.
I didn't even try.
And now Call of Duty's leaking.
Yeah, and but fellas, tomorrow Twitch drops for fucking what's the word? Like early access to Diablo 2.
Oh, really?
I'm actually down for that. I'm big time down for that.
Yeah, watch it for 2.5 hours and you should get a drop.
Nice. We should play that game.
Oh, totally. If we can all get drops, and then maybe that's what we stream tomorrow.
Oh, I see. I was going to say, when the game comes out, I'm going to buy it.
Oh, 100%. 100%. All right. You ready, Jonesy?
Yeah, apologies.
Were you pooing or wanking or?
I've moved my setup around so I can see that my stairs there now. Like this is the walls behind me.
Right,
Jazz was taking Max to the toilet. I thought she was going to stack it down the stairs. She was. I could hear her like going.
So you were being a good husband.
So I quickly went to go and help her.
Very nice. Thank you. All right, cool. But yeah, Wakanda.
It was Club. Chadwick's dead.
So you just said Jonesy. You just said Jonesy runs and runs and runs. Jonesy would love it.
I said other stuff.
You said it was like hot, fresh, cool, addicting, or something.
Yeah. Anyway, I think we can just cut into whatever either which one of you want to talk about your game. Or should I just say? Oh,
I think you need to cap it off. Otherwise, it's going to be a bit.
I think I did. I think I did cap it off though.
You didn't. Well, I said it when you literally.
What if you capped it off and then took a pause that only you would notice and then moved on? So you've got the option.
Oh,
but I don't even remember what the last thing I said was.
I think you said it was big, bold, and beautiful.
I totally said it was big, bold. Okay,
no, that's wrong. You said tall, dark, and handsome.
Yeah. So what I'm saying, fellas, is it's a big, bold, and beautiful game. But the problem that it has, obviously, is that Hades is like coming out on Games Pass as well. Like if it's not out, I don't know, I haven't checked, but if it's not out on Games Pass now, it's going to be in the next couple of days. So do you play the lesser version of Hades or do you just play Hades? So
I think maybe you just play Hades. Yeah. You'll tell us the next week, I'm sure.
I hope to be able to tell you next week. Yeah. What are you guys been playing?
Jamie, do you want to?
Yeah, sure. I mean, like, I don't know whether to kind of like join you guys in basking in a good week for gaming or complain that I've bitten off way more than I can chew.
It's
probably
a good problem,
more the latter.
Good problem to have, though, right? Like,
well, it's not because like I basically haven't had any work to do for the last week, as you guys have known, and and now I do have work to do as of literally today. And like I'm playing, I think I've played 7 games in the last 48 hours for some amount of time. Like I just keep playing stupid stuff. All I'm going to talk about this week, though, because I don't really have super updated thoughts on a bunch of those games, and some of them I can't talk about yet.
Yeah.
I was going to give a shout out to a game that I think was simultaneously both ahead of the curve on and also behind the times on, because it's like 2 years old. Splitgate, which is a kind of a first-person arena shooter game that is experiencing, it's still in beta, but it's experiencing kind of a surge in popularity lately, it's really felt like.
Picked up by Twitch, right? So
yeah, picked up by Twitch, and I was it's interesting. I was playing Formula One with some of the Techno-Ovo guys yesterday, and Joe from Techno-Ovo was saying how he kind of went on the Twitch category, almost expecting to see one big streamer doing a paid-for stream or sponsored stream, and it was like no, just a bunch of people, just like smaller streamers, all genuinely playing it. That has hit their servers. I hit a server queue every time I launch the game that lasts a couple of minutes, which is a bit of a bummer. But when you wait through that timer, what you're met with is a really kind of nice and tight and satisfying arena shooter that was reminiscent of a game that I guess I feel like I haven't played for in a while. Because Destiny, I went off. I never really got into the multiplayer. Halo games I haven't played for a long time.
Yeah. I don't think you've said the name of the game. Did you?
Splitgate. I think I did say the word Splitgate. Yeah. But there you go. The easiest way of describing it for anyone that hasn't even seen this game is imagine not Halo 5, but imagine like early Halo gameplay. So a first-person shooter with like a slightly floaty jump, no real emphasis on aimed ADS or aim down sights, that kind of thing. And then imagine Portal being mixed with it, and imagine Q and E on a keyboard and mouse being bound to the 2 portals, so you could really quickly fire portals around the map. Skip around the map, shoot people through portals, close enemies' portals. It's a really interesting combination.
That sounds pretty sick, to be fair.
Yeah. I've downloaded it, Jamie, so I'm just waiting for my chance.
It's free. Most modes are 4v4. It's got a lot of Halo-style modes, like I've already been randomly put into shotty sniper games, which are classics. And yeah, as like obviously it's got. If you want to give them money, they will let you give them money, and you can look like an alien if you want to. It's one of those, kind of, but it does still have an aesthetic. It's still sharp, and when you're in the game, I still have been pleasantly surprised with how well it plays. I'm a controller guy, and I've been playing on keyboard and mouse and having fun. Although, the asterisk is that I said this to you guys yesterday, so I'll say it to the folks at home. I'm pretty sure it's been putting me with bots as like in like my first 2 hours. Because I watched the kill cam on some of these guys, and like they'll like far too smoothly aim like in no particular direction. Then you enter their peripheral vision, and they'll like snap to you in like a far too fluid and straight away. I'm like, that's a bot. That's a fucking bot. And then I went like 16-0 in one match, and I was like, those can't have been real humans. One of those guys had a Chinese name, like Chinese characters in his name. Like these are bots, right?
Maybe.
But it's fun. It's fun and it's free, so there's that. Also fun, but slightly older now, is Immortals Phoenix Rising, which I picked up, and so I'd already picked it up. It's actually, I installed it on my PlayStation 5 to be my backup. I'm in a PlayStation party and or listening to a podcast, but I still want to play a video game on my PlayStation game. And I really fucking like it, I gotta say. As someone who got real fatigue from playing like 70 hours of Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Immortals feels kind of funky and fresh.
Wow, funky fresh. Jesus.
Yeah. The aesthetic isn't going to be for everyone. I know some people that like are put off every time certain body parts are disproportionately larger compared to others, or when colors are too bright, or when character designs are just off in general. I get that. But like the combat is better than Assassin's Creed Valhalla's with less options. Like you have to use a sword and an axe bound to one button each, and it's got better combat, more satisfying combat.
I mean, that's more the sad state of Assassin's Creed than the good state of Immortals.
Very, very possibly. I mean, Valhalla wasn't bad. Valhalla was good. It was
they feel very different as well. Though I wouldn't put those two games in the same sort of ballpark of like
Valhalla. I mean, Immortals learns just as many lessons from, let's say, Assassin's Creed Odyssey as it does from Breath of the Wild. I remember that was what this time last year when I played it. I remember thinking that was the combo, and I still think that's the fucking combo. You know?
Yeah.
But it's good. It's bright. It's colorful. It's charming. And if you like the idea of running around and opening chests and completing Breath of the Wild rip-off dungeons while you're, cooling down after Warzone, maybe that's just me. Then it's a good one of those. And if you want, here's a better way of putting it: if you really want a map that's got shitloads of stuff on it, and you just go around completing everything on the map, I actually think people are better off with Immortals than Assassin's Creed this year. Or Watch Dogs is a slightly different beast, but yeah. That's the hot take.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What spurred you to kind of go back to it? Because you played like the pre-release stuff like 3 times in a row or something, didn't you?
Yeah, there was a lot going on with Ubisoft games last year, and I played a fair amount of it before launch. But I don't know. Like, I think it's because, like I said, I'm playing a lot of games at the moment, and a lot of it's my own fault, and I didn't make room for certain kinds of experiences. And I got to the point where, like, it will get to the certain time of the evening. I'm like, I'm not going to play The Ascent right now. I'm not going to play, Back 4 Blood or Splitgate. I'm not going to play any of the other game. There's another game I've been playing a lot lately that I think I could talk about next month. It's not that exciting though, so don't get excited. But I just didn't have anything that was truly relaxing. You know?
I know what you mean about Immortals, because it's got that feel to it that you can just run around, open chests, smash stuff, level up. It's a nice game to dip into when you haven't got to worry about teaming up with other people playing like a multiplayer. No, I totally get you with that. Yeah, it's a good game to sort of decompress with, I suppose.
Yeah. It's one of those Ubisoft open worlds, and it does the trick. The issue is now I have to start completing games like.
You're becoming the new Jonesy.
Yeah, I've played 8 hours of Sleeping Dogs for no reason. Like, also, as taking an example of a game I wasn't originally going to mention. And this is while still playing probably like 2 or 3 hours of either Warzone or Apex a night. So, like, there's... Life is complicated. I watched a movie, though.
Yeah? What'd you watch?
I watched The Suicide Squad.
Oh, say that.
The sequel they had no right to make. But yeah.
It's not a sequel.
Is it not a sequel?
No.
Okay,
it is
a weird thing.
Probably closer to like a reboot than anything else.
Makes sense because of how trash the original was. So okay.
Yes.
Can I give my hot take and trash opinions? I didn't mind the original Suicide Squad.
Oh,
I didn't like it.
It was fine. It was fine.
I didn't like it.
Wow.
I actually thought I thought it was annoying to watch. Like, it was choppy and frustrating on the eyes and ears.
It was 100% choppy, but I'd seen worse films. I think maybe when I saw that, like worse, higher tier films. They're like, oh, this should be better than it actually is. And then I came to it. Maybe it's because I didn't go to it like in the cinema. And then maybe when I watched it, I was like, everyone says it's shit. So I set my expectations quite low. And then I was like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Had some moments.
Yeah, that's funny when you get that.
Yeah. I'll give you that. That.
See, I hated Suicide. I didn't hate it, but I thought Suicide Squad was pretty crap. And then I liked Harley Quinn. I thought that was a decent movie.
I think if you liked Birds of Prey, I genuinely think you'll like the Suicide Squad. I think this is a good movie.
Right.
And I don't think that's surprising when you look at like the ingredients, the whole James Gunn sort of Marvel Fallout thing, and I think Warner Brothers, fucking smashed out the park in grabbing him in the fucking whatever it was, the 4 weeks that he was fired for.
The 4 weeks he was cancelled.
Exactly, the 4 weeks he was cancelled. They were like, "Hey, how about you come and make a movie over here where we'll literally let you do anything you want." Like, one of the easiest comparisons you can make between Suicide Squad and The Suicide Squad is, how the one that was bad had is it Killer Croc?
Yeah.
And he's kind of like this, like, angry, like almost like gangster archetype character, and it's all a little bit self-serious, and like you want them to be a little bit more self-aware of the fact that they're walking around with a anthropomorphic crocodile. The Suicide Squad replaces that with
the shark dude,
King Shark, who is like a literal moron. Is like introduced to the film as he's reading a book upside down, but trying to convince people that he's enjoying it. and is voiced by like an intentionally slurring Sylvester Stallone.
Is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm sold now. I didn't realize it was Stallone who voiced him. Now I'm going to have to watch it.
It's literally Stallone going like, "Oh, I'm a shot." It's like he's doing the thing, and he nails it. And that's the other thing. Like by dropping the self-aware, like by going full self-aware, they completely nail it. So John Cena plays, I forget the guy's name,
Peacemaker.
Peacemaker.
Right.
And his whole arc or his whole idea is summed up with a line he actually says himself very early in the film, which is like that he's basically committed to making peace at any cost, and he doesn't care how many men, women, and children he has to kill to get it. Like that's his character. It's like, what if Captain America was so unhinged in his pursuit of liberty and freedom and peace that he just fucking murdered everyone? Like that's what this film is. And there's a great scene, for example, if you like physical comedy, where they're trying to stealth their way through a camp of soldiers, and Idris Elba, who plays, I think it's called Bloodsport, and Peacekeeper have been kind of like at each other's throats so far, a bit of a macho man kind of alpha male showdown. So they're stealthing their way through a camp and kind of like silently one-upping each other in kills in terms of like who can get the coolest kills in this camp. And it gets more and more ridiculous. And there's... I won't spoil the kills or the physical comedy, but it works. Everyone, I think, knows why they're there. I will say, if I was going to be slightly critical of it, I think some of the moment-to-moment banter doesn't always work, because I think some of the people don't land their lines 100% of the time. I weirdly think that sometimes Margot Robbie, for the person who should be the most familiar with her character, occasionally kind of lags behind a little bit on the comedic front, and the other person who I felt did a couple of times was Idris Elba. But I thought John Cena and this other guy, the actor's name I forgot remain, David something, but he plays Polka Dot Man.
Oh, right, yeah.
Those two are just, they smash it out of the park, and some of the biggest laughs I've given films in a long, long time.
Wow. Well, yeah, but that's not saying much. Like,
true. But like,
films don't exist in the going back in the short term.
No, it's been a while since I've sat there, watched a new release, and like I might chuckle every now and then, but some of these I had to like pause and almost like catch my breath, because there's some very smart jokes in this.
Yeah,
there's some awkward banter. Like what I'll say is this: is if the first 20 minutes has a lot of lines where you go, "That was funny, but I'm not laughing," I'm gonna say, don't worry. There's still more to come,
right? Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I'm gonna watch it next week, so by this time, when we come to the next one, I might add to that. But yeah,
I would like to watch it. So I think for me, I guess Suicide Squad, what I would have said was it was trying to be cool. Whereas if you're saying that this is trying to be funny and self like deprecating in a way, then that's what it should be, and it's
1,000% self-aware. Like they know exactly what they're doing, to the point where like. Yeah, I won't spoil like characters or arcs or I don't want to spoil anything. The less said, the better. But there's no kind of like edge to it that Suicide Squad wanted to have so desperately.
Yeah,
this is like a film that knows what it's doing.
But it doesn't have Jared Leto, right? So
right, exactly. There's no one there on the actors front who like isn't aware of what they're a part of, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
like even weirdly enough, like they brought back people like Joel Kinnaman plays Rick Flag again. And Viola Davis plays the kind of the lady who whips them all together again. Like even they feel like they know what they're doing and are enjoying themselves more than they did in the.
So hold on.
film.
So do you have a scene where it's like Viola Davis sort of saying, "Oh, you're going to be blah 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 in a team doing da 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 da"? Is it that much of almost a reboot? It feels almost like a remake.
Yes and no. They basically do a very clever thing where, yes, to answer your question in two parts. Yes, Viola Davis has to explain the concept of the Suicide Squad to the audience again.
Right.
But you will be astonished at how short that explanation lasts. This is all cut together in a very clever way where, like, I don't want to spoil too much because there are, even describing the first chunk of the film can give away structural spoilers, but they are clever in kind of how quickly they get you on board with things. And there are also in-jokes where, like, Jai Courtney's Captain Boomerang returns, and like one of the first interactions between Harley Quinn and Captain Boomerang imply that they are familiar with one another, not in necessarily like do you remember that mission we went on way, like not in a where's Will Smith way, but in a kind of like, it almost seems like
Like
They
wink,
might
wink.
have finished that first film and gone back to prison, and now they're going out again, kind of
Yeah,
way.
yeah.
Right. Okay, I get you.
Wink, wink,
Okay,
and
cool.
nudge, nudge, nudge.
but
Yeah.
most of the group is entirely new characters, as you'll know if you've seen the trailers.
Yeah.
With some also some inspired casting, I'll say.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, you just reminded me that was something we weren't going to talk about this week, but I have to mention, because you just mentioned Idris Elba, is that, of course, he has been cast as Knuckles in Sonic 2.
That's cool casting, man. I like that.
Yeah, that as soon as I told my wife, I said, "Oh, they've cast Idris Elba," and she was like, "Yeah, I can see that." And I was like, "Yeah, it's quite good cast, isn't it?" But yeah, looking forward to that actually.
Yeah. Anyway, that's me. That's the Suicide Squad.
That's Jamie. That's Jamie and the Suicide Squad in a nutshell.
That gets a thumbs up and a recommendation, I'll say.
Nice. All right.
All right then. I guess I will. I'll try and be reasonably brief.
Jonesy,
I've played quite. Yeah, no, I know. I said it and then I thought that's bullshit, isn't it? I've actually played quite a lot this week, but I'll try and keep it to a few that I've played a decent amount of. I played The Ascent off of the recommendations of Jamie. And actually, do you know what? I really liked it, really got into it. I played it on my mouse and keyboard. I didn't play as a twin stick shooter. But the thing that sort of grabbed me about that game is the setting. Like, it's I don't know, would you call it like an isometric, like 3D kind of post-apocalyptic cyberpunky kind of world, I suppose.
That's exactly what I'd call it.
No, but I was thinking, is it isometric? I was like, is it isometric? But it is isometric.
Yeah.
And it just works. Like, that world had me thinking, Jesus, imagine if they made an Aliens game which was like this. Jesus, imagine if they made a Judge Dredd game like this. Like, I could just see all my childhood movies in my brain go like, even I was thinking like a Fifth Element game like this would be wicked. Like,
Fifth Element would be sick, yeah.
You haven't said the meme one yet.
What's the meme one?
For it to be a true Alex Jones meme, there's still one more TV show you need to reference.
Yeah, the big one, buddy. What TV
show? Shit.
Movie, not TV show, surely.
No, I'm thinking...
He's thinking of the Joel Kinnaman TV show.
I am thinking of that. Altered Carbon. I was thinking for it to be a true Alex Jones like touchstone.
I think you've missed one. You've missed one.
Go on.
Which is Demolition Man.
That too.
It wouldn't work with Demolition Man because Demolition Man is...
think about it. Josie, think about it.
It's all open and earthy and there's plants everywhere and it's the illusion that it's all nice.
And then they go in the sewers and they eat rats.
Oh, okay. Actually, no, yeah, I see what you mean. You could have like a multi-level thing where you go down.
Think about the very first scene where they're fighting in the cryogenic chamber. Like, imagine that in that isometric style.
Okay, no, yeah, that would work. But I suppose I was thinking more about the nice, bright stuff. But yeah, no, I can see where you're going with that.
Nice, but it's juxtaposition. Just going to put that out there.
It's a very cool game. I've really been enjoying it. I like the RPG elements, the way that you can it's one of those games where you get to change your kit and wear some cool looking stuff and you change what you're wearing and you look like a badass and you get bigger guns and better guns and you're fighting sort of like waves of enemies sometimes and they just climb over railings and they're there trying to attack you and it's exactly what you think it is, but there seems to be more there. It's like a more in-depth twin stick shooter, like level verticality based twin stick shooter where you're probably going to go up and down a lot of things and battle a lot of enemies, but they can feel a bit empty a lot of the times. Like the ones that you often pick up, it feels more like you're just killing enemies for the sake of it and you don't really care what you're doing. This actually has a lot of cool lore with it where you are... I need to it's one of those where I'm going to have to go back and sort of read the codex because it's got a lot of stuff about indentured servitude and you working for corporations and it does feel like it's got a bit of a political message. So I'm looking forward to playing some more of that. Is it a little bit buggy in places? Like it feels like it might just be a little bit rough.
We couldn't get into a fucking co-op game.
Exactly. Yeah, we had some problems with that, and it does seem to take a little while to load in sometimes. And the matchmaking thing, but generally, been really enjoying it. But talking about politics and it being seemed to have a political message, I finished a game that definitely talks about politics and has a political message behind it, which, well, not much of a message, but an arc, which was Disco Elysium, which I finished.
Hell
nice.
yeah.
Nice.
I really enjoyed it. Thought it was very, very... what's the word? Like it's different. Good. It's very good, but it's very different. It's not. I don't think I've ever played anything kind of like it. I mean, in the day,
that's kind of the point of Disco Elysium, right? Like there is nothing really like it.
It feels like the old school sort of point and click adventure games, but it doesn't at the same time. Like there are times you can actually play it with WSD on keyboard and that, and you can run around rather than point and click. And sometimes it kind of makes you almost feel like they could have put in some real-time action, like if you needed to shoot something. But that game is just cool. Like it's also not like, so the ending I had was pretty dark, and maybe not the ending, but just before the ending gets a bit dark, and sort of what's happened in the I'm trying to not give too much away. The kind of the aftermath of the world of what goes on. But my immediate reaction was, I need to reload a save, and I need to go back, and I need to change what I did and see if I can get a different outcome. But actually, it felt honest to the game that I'd played up to that point.
Yeah.
But it's also so weird in Disco Elysium in that you make all these little decisions and you make all these little choices in dialogue and speech options, and it kind of does something to you where it ends up sort of like holding a mirror up to you, where it says, it always called me like the sorry cop. You always apologize for everything. And I was like, damn, I don't want to be the fucking sorry cop. And I was like, but that probably is what I'm like in real life. Like,
that's funny.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Apologize. I'm sorry.
What you're saying is I should play this game so I can get to know myself better.
No, not like that, but it does.
I'd say don't be afraid to role play as like one of the first things I wanted to do and nearly did when I finished Disco Elysium, and Josie, I don't know if this is the same for you. I wanted to immediately start a new game, being like a off the rails jackass, says yes to all the drugs, takes all the drugs, fuck Kim Kitsuragi. I don't care how cool Kim is. I'm going to say fuck you to him. I'm going to talk down to him. Fuck the Hardy Boys. Fuck everyone.
No, I absolutely. It wasn't so much that I wanted to be that. I didn't want to, because I think I smoked one cigarette in the game, and at the end, Kim's like, he smokes all the time. And I was like, I had one. You smoked twice. Like, you cheeky mother. Like, what are you doing to me here? But the game really does hold some of your decisions and some of your dialogue choices over you. And it feels kind of a bit daunting to someone who like playing video games. It does feel like you kind of go, but I want to be able to undo that for choice. I don't want to have done that. There was one dude that I told to fuck off really early on, because it's like racist dude. And so I just told him to fuck off. And then for the rest of the game, he basically says to you, "Oh, what are you here to talk to me, runt? You have to tell me to fuck off again?" And I'm like, shit, he remembers like the whole thing. You can't get any more information from him. You've kind of burned those bridges. And
there was one guy who like is like one of the first people in the game who's kind of like somewhat like friendly and warm to you. Like he's kind of seems like a nice enough dude. And you can get to a point where like one of the only ways you can really progress is basically betraying his trust slightly and doing something that you say you wouldn't do. And he's another dude who just doesn't talk to you for the rest of the game. And he's like seemed like a nice enough bloke, like a normal bloke. And I was like bummed out every time I was reminded that I'd betrayed his trust.
And that stings, man. Like that genuinely, I was kind of like, that's it's something in games I'm not used to. I'm not used to decisions being very short-lived. Like, even if you play a game with like a supposed moral choices, it's not actually that often that they are. Usually they're sort of very linear, short choices that actually kind of lead you around to you've either got the good ending or the bad ending. Or it's, good ending or bad ending, depending on what you think they are, the moral ending or the non-moral ending. But this game genuinely feels like I could have finished it in 15, 20, 30 different ways with different people still breathing and a few different things happening. And I, like you said, Jamie, something that I was like, damn, I want to play it again. But not as like the taking drugs, smoking cigarettes. I want to be the cop who just, the kind of like the, I guess like this 70s cop, is it Dirty Harry type, kick the door down, yell at everyone's faces, full authority, kind of, what is it, LA Confidential, kind of like that sort of cop.
I was going to say there'd be a few interesting stand-up. Like it speaks to the game's strength that I can immediately think of characters and like all this numbers of conversations you have with them, and I'd love to see how they responded to you being that kind of a person.
Yes.
Like if it's not a spoiler to say like, Everard Clare, the dock worker guy, the big guy, like I was so dumb and sorry and apologetic that I could tell immediately that he was manipulating me and I almost couldn't stop him. Right. Like I was just doing those things for him and I was like, whatever, like I can't work. I know he's not that smart, but I can't work around him. I'd love to be like the alpha male in those meeting rooms and see like what he's like. I don't know. Yeah.
The game is, There was a thing I had with LA Noire, which I didn't like, which was they had this whole thing where they were like, the way dialogue works is much more lifelike, and you can, pick dialogue, and it didn't work. And you would pick certain dialogue options, and then you would kind of say something that didn't sound like what you just clicked on, which really bugged me out of that game.
Yeah.
This game doesn't do that, but there were definitely times when I said things and it didn't really feel like that there's the route I thought I was taking it. And that can be frustrating. I don't think this game did that. I will say it gets very, very heavy in the dialogue at certain points. And I kind of found myself skim reading it and then just clicking on the next option.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes I wish I'd stuck with it a little more and I'd read every sentence, but you just can't. It gets such a beefy game, isn't it, dialogue-wise?
I don't know if this would be an interesting test to see if you and I are on the same wavelength. There's one character in particular who his shtick is very obvious, but the length at which he talks about it and the length at which you have to listen to it to progress in some situations is so nauseatingly overrun that I resented him for more reasons than just who he was.
Right. There's also
if I said race to you, that guy, some of those conversations,
I kicked him in the face, and it was the best moment of the game.
I fucked that up, and so I'm like, I had to. Do you know what I had to do? It basically, without saying too much,
to agree with him.
Yeah, it's a guy who's basically a massive racist and believes in that certain races are literally for very, very for specific and long-winded reasons. Some races are, superior to others. And Jonesy said that there he fought him. I messed up my fight and I didn't punch him. I missed him and he caught my punch. So I ended up basically having to go away, learn about the race theory that he spewed, get to the point where my conscience was ready to adopt being racist as one of its what's the word, Jonesy? The thought cabinet kind of thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's thought cabinet or thought slots. You have slots that you can unlock, and then you can put thoughts in to think about.
I basically had to get to the point where I convinced myself that I became a racist, got judged by Kim for becoming a racist, so that I could then go back to him and say, look, I'm also a racist. I have the same theories on race as you do, to befriend him and get past him. And right. Kim was like, I don't think I would have done that quite the same way.
That's what's really interesting about this game and makes me want to play it again is there are loads of things that I didn't finish. There are loads of quests things that just became they seemed undoable. I still completed the game. I think I got an ending. I don't know how much better I could have done it. I don't know, and it's be interesting to speak to you after. I don't want to give any. Sure. Don't want to spoil it for anyone else. It's such a good game though, and I really do. It genuinely, you can finish the game and have loads of stuff that you're like, but what happens if I'd have finished this? What happens if I'd have done that? And some of the most important things in the game are down to a roll of a dice, and you can see it on the screen, and it gives you a percentage chance, and you go, oh Jesus, and you roll it, and that's it, and you just have to live with the roll of the dice, which actually is kind of exciting in a game where, rather than like a Call of Duty game or like a newbie game where there is a right thing that can happen, and you can always get the right thing as long as you go to it with enough XP and enough level, then you can definitely do it. Whereas this was like, no, dude, you've got the chips are where they are, and if you mess the roll up, well, you don't even mess it up as luck, but if you don't get that roll, shit's going to go down. It's going to be rough. And I quite like that. I've enjoyed the fact that it took away some of that to me.
Can I ask one more question? And I apologize. If this is our post-podcast discussions happening during the podcast, I genuinely apologize. But not the ending, but just before the ending, when you get the ending to one of the argument,
I think you find
how did you get the answer?
Yes,
you find the answer. How did you feel about that answer?
I quite liked it actually. I thought it because it kind of shone a light on how insular and how small-minded I'd been as a detective playing the game. Obviously, I'm not a detective, but playing the game and what I thought the possibilities could be, to then find out that I was, that it wasn't what I was thinking. Actually, I found that quite. I liked it. I found it kind of rewarding to be like, damn, I didn't even think I didn't even see that happening. But yeah, very good game. I think everyone should out there, if you haven't played it and you want to have a little go, and we'll talk about it after.
All right,
but actually,
move on from this, fellas, because you're getting too. Yeah, this is getting post.
No, absolutely.
Chat.
But I did actually watch. I didn't put it in the doc actually, but I did watch something that I haven't watched forever, and I actually is a little bit like this in making decisions and choosing things. I finally watched Bandersnatch, which I haven't watched. The Black Mirror episode where it's not a game, but it is a game, but it's less because it's interactive, but it's not because it's video. But
I love how Jonesy is like this dude who like catches up on the trends like 2 years later.
yeah, no, I know, right? But no, yeah, really enjoyed it. I thought Bandersnatch. I only wanted to mention it because we talked about it a couple of weeks ago, and I hadn't actually seen it.
Fair.
But speaking of something 2 years old, I finally finished The Mandalorian season 1 as well. And the only reason I even wanted to bring it up was because. Like my wife and I watched it the last 3 episodes I think we had this season, and we both had the same thought, and I only mention it because in the comments for this week someone said Jonesy has the worst takes and he has the trashiest opinions and the worst takes, and I was like, do you know what, The Mandalorian is such a good looking show and there's some such cool stuff in it and it's so badly written that I was just like, I can't not mention it. Like it's so badly written. It's like I don't even understand it. I don't know how it got to where it is as badly. No, I do because it looks great and it's Star Wars and it's cool. Like the Mando looks wicked. His armor's sick and all, and I love all of that. And Cara Dune in it. I know she's not in it anymore, but she was cool and I like her character. And the old guy rides the funny little fat cow thing. Those things are cool.
That dude was voiced by Nick Nolte.
I knew it was Nick Nolte. I heard it the first episode I watched that. I was like, damn, that sounds so much like Nick Nolte. But I had to look it up, and it was but yeah, it's so badly written. It just doesn't make any sense. Like so many of the episodes.
Are you saying and keep in mind that I'm a big Star Wars fan?
I know you are. That's one of the reasons I mentioned it.
But are you saying that any of the Star Wars films have good writing?
They make sense the story behind them makes sense to me in the sense of like, I'm not saying the words they use, but like the story, where the story goes and how they pursue their goals and everything makes sense. And even if some of the writing is clunky and some of the dialogue doesn't really work, but this is almost bizarre in that they sort of go, I don't even know. They'll go into a room and go, oh, we're going to escape now. And you're like, okay, so escape. And then they stand there for 10 minutes and go, should we escape? Should we escape? Should we escape? I know what we'll do. We won't escape. We'll just stand here and we'll wait for 25 minutes talking, and then we'll just lay down and die, and then something will happen to save them. And you're like, what the fuck is this show doing? It's so and some of it's weird as well. Like it doesn't make sense at all. Like it's just bizarre, but it looks wicked, and they've got blasters. Oh my, okay. Yeah. And how trash does that dude's lightsaber look at the end of season 1?
The Darksaber?
The lightsaber. How trash does it look?
It's called the Darksaber.
The Darksaber. I look so trash. Like
what's trash about it? I've never seen this show.
So imagine a lightsaber, right? But imagine that someone messed up the filter that they applied to it so that the middle of the lightsaber was just black. Like when you go too far on a red giant filter. So that the edge of the thing is like but so it just looks like what are those swords called?
I'm
that are kind of
pictures now.
That
looks kind of cool.
But that's the point of it, Jonesy.
No, it looks so shit. Like when he pulled it out.
It's not a lightsaber. It's like a proto lightsaber.
But this the shape of it as well. It looks like they messed up the effects on the sword, and it is a literal sword. It's got a sword shape and everything. It's quite clean cut, and then the edge of it is all blurry. But it's not a proto saber because it's after Star Wars. It's after the events of Star Wars.
It's an artifact, Jonesy.
Yeah, it looks like it's got bloody effect after artifacts all over it because they didn't render it very well. It's rubbish.
It's funny. I was listening to Bill Burr talk about being on that show this week.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of interesting.
That episode is one of the worst ones for just the trash writing. That's so annoying. I love Bill Burr, but like. That you're supposed to believe that Mando has little fights of each of them and puts them all in the same cell. Like, what do they do? Do they just stand there when he opens the cell for the 5th time and puts the 5th one in? Like, what are you trying to say? It's so trash.
I worry that if like you go into any Star Wars property in that frame of mind, you'd find.
But
The Empire Strikes Back would have its version of that.
Yeah,
You know what
exactly. This is the point I'm trying to make. Like,
there's got to be some suspension
you don't
of
go
disbelief.
to Star Wars for the logic or for the dialogue, especially not the dialogue. Sometimes you can get away with the logic.
Okay, is it my fault for thinking that a Jon Favreau led thing with some kick-ass Star Wars, vistas and designs and characters and whatever, that they could just do half decent writing on it? Like, I don't understand why it needs to be trash.
Jon Favreau of Aliens and Cowboys fame.
Nah, Jon Favreau's written some good stuff.
Jon Favreau's done good, man.
Of course he has.
I know, actually,
he's done some good stuff.
I agree with Jonesy that it becomes you can only meme on the George Lucas's writing, in so much as that you also have to acknowledge that people like J.J. Abrams and Rian Johnson, or in this case Jon Favreau, by modern standards, are capable writers, clearly, as they've demonstrated in other work. So I can see why Jonesy might. If Jonesy, I can't speak to the writing in this, but if Jonesy genuinely felt like it was troubling, then I can see why that would be a disappointment, especially because obviously the show has a lot of hype writing.
It's not even the dialogue. The dialogue's fine. It's just these setups and what they do and the writing of what goes on. It's like there's even a scene where the two stormtroopers, but on speeder bikes, they get hold of Baby Yoda and they park up and they have a conversation where they punch him. Because he bites his finger and then he punches. And
Isn't it a baby?
It's a Baby Yoda.
Well, he's like a 96-year-old baby or whatever.
Yeah. I see. So you can punch it.
Well,
but they don't punch it. They punch the bag, and because he's like, "Ow, it bit me," and he punches, and it's quite funny. It's a funny scene, and then he's like, "Let me see it," and he's like, "No, we don't." He just killed a guy because he interrupted him. Do you really think I'm going to let you look in the bag because you're interested? And it's a funny scene. The dialogue works, and it's it made me think about the Clark scene where they talk about. Whether or not you should take a job on the Death Star and whether or not that's your fault if it gets blown up because of your own personal politics leading to the jobs you take. It felt almost like Kevin Smithy in that kind of sense, that scene. And I liked it. I thought it was quite funny and it worked. But then just some of the other setup stuff's just so crap. Why does the dude give them until nightfall to make the decision about whether they're going to walk out of the building?
Because that's how you continue a TV show.
But it didn't even need to because then the drone turns up. But they didn't even need to do it.
Yeah, but you've
got 10 minutes, which would have made so much more sense. And then the drone arrives, and then that makes more sense. But he's like, you've got until nightfall. Why? Anyway, let's move on because this is not a Star Wars slam Jon Favreau show.
There's going to be some Mandalorian comments in the YouTube video version of this. I guarantee you that much.
That's why I wanted to bring it up because I thought people would enjoy slamming me in the comments for my opinions on Mandalorian.
Well,
but he's got a kick-ass cape.
I'm glad you said. I didn't even remember. I'm starting to get a little bit too tired for a segue, so we're just going to jump straight into it because hey, guess what? There's rumor of a GTA remaster trilogy. How interesting could that be?
This was music to my ears.
But it's weird to call it a trilogy in a way, isn't it? Because it's not GTA 1 and 2.
Starts at 3. Yeah.
It's GTA 3.
It's the trilogy of 3D PlayStation 2 games.
Yeah. Let's put it this way. It's the trilogy that matters when you're talking about GTA.
GTA blew my mind. When 3 came out, blew my tiny mind. Having played 1 and 2 and London... and laughed about the fact there's swearing and stuff and you can run over joggers.
Yeah.
To then go and play 3 was like, what is this gem of a game? It is incredible.
It is kind of mad.
It's photorealistic. It looks amazing.
It can't get any better than this, right?
Can't get any better than this.
So Kotaku was reported that remasters of 3 classic GTA games are indeed happening. We're talking about GTA 3, obviously, Vice City, and San Andreas. I mean, pretty big hitters there. San Andreas probably, I think, is what really catapulted GTA into kind of like the mainstream, I felt. No? Disagree?
I'd say Vice City. To be fair, I'd say 3 was the thing that made... I'd say 3 was the biggest because it was so standout for its time. But I think Vice City... But I could be wrong. It's just maybe it's personal sort of thing.
Interesting. What's your take on it, Jamie?
I don't think Jonesy's wrong in that, it's somewhat personal. I think it also, weirdly enough, for games that are 2 years apart, in the case of Vice City and San Andreas, I think age can also weirdly be a factor. Yeah. Because GTA is one of those games where it's like, it might have been just out of reach at a certain age. It might have been bang on at a certain age. You might have felt past it. So, and also one of the reasons I feel like I can't separate San Andreas and Vice City when I look back at them is because like it's hard to get too in the gangster archetype, like the gangster film inspired archetype.
Yeah,
it's hard to get two different ideas than like 80s Miami kind of East Coast Scarface, not even Scarface really, but you know what I mean. Like there's some Scarface stuff towards the end.
Oh, it's so Scarface. It was so Scarface, isn't it?
And then on the other hand, you've got like 90s, late like very late 80s, but mostly 90s West Coast hip hop, sort of like Boys in the Hood, Menace to Society, and like two very different realms for clearly what is still a lot of like movie inspiration. I lean personally towards the San Andreas style of thing, but I totally get why people liked listening to Michael Jackson as the sun was setting on Vice City.
Yeah, it's what I said though. Don't get me wrong. It's what I said that like it felt to me that San Andreas is what broke into the mainstream. Like I remember like being in school when it came out, and people that I wouldn't have considered to be gamers would be like, "Yeah, I'm playing San Andreas."
Yeah,
but they would never say that of say Vice City.
Totally.
And these are the people that would like buy a PlayStation to play FIFA, as an example.
I think you would have. Well, we're the same age, right? So I was at uni when it came out. So I think you would have.
You were at uni? No way.
Yeah, 2003. Went to uni.
Did it come out in 2003?
No, it came out in 2004.
Vice City or San Andreas?
San Andreas came out in 2004. Are you talking about Vice City?
I'm talking about San Andreas.
Oh, I thought so. Yeah, it came out
2004.
my first year of uni. Yeah.
All right, fair enough. I mean, I was still like daily contact with all my friends from high school.
Oh, okay, so it was you were that sort of transition from like school to uni sort of.
I was 11.
Just shut up. No, but you know what I mean? Like people who would just buy a PlayStation for FIFA or sports games or whatever, and it'd be like, yes, they're gamers, but they weren't like exploring the breadth of what gaming offers. And then they're almost the case of like, it would come to the weekend. It's like, oh, what you been doing? Oh yeah, I took my San Andreas character to the gym because I wanted to make him really buff, you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
I did get that, but those same people would have played Vice City for me as well.
See,
the example. Sorry, Jesse.
Oh no, I was going to agree, and I was going to say I thought for me it was like Vice City was the Grand Theft Auto game that sealed the deal that you had to play San Andreas. It felt like Vice City put it like 3 was incredible, and everyone was like, "This is a game changer." Vice City sealed the deal as it being a series to be reckoned with. Like you had to play it, and then San Andreas was almost like the cherry on top for people going like, "There's a new GTA," and then people definitely were going to play it because of how good Vice City was.
Interesting.
So it's funny because I can actually kind of see it from all three angles. I think you can make an argument for all three, I guess.
Yeah,
I'm trying to find out what the sales were like between them. I think.
I would bet you right now that San Andreas fucking dunked on Vice City.
San Andreas is a big chunk ahead of Vice. It's like San Andreas is further ahead of Vice City than Vice City is to 3.
Okay, interesting.
Interestingly enough.
Yeah. But then again, like the GTA kind of like entry on entry just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So
yeah,
yes.
Do you
yeah.
remember when the trailer for the announcement trailer for the trailer for 5 was coming out and everyone was losing their minds? It's like,
bro, the hype cycle for 5. Like, I still remember living in a house and not having internet and going to the library to download and put on USB sticks. They did like 3 separate trailers for each of the 3 characters, like these like 90-second trailers. All I remember is that Franklin's had The Hood Gone Love It as like the song on it. And I watched all 3 like over and over again. I was just obsessed with that game. But
did we not work together when those trailers dropped?
No, like it was not far off. This would have literally been a matter of months before I met you guys.
Yeah, yeah, go on.
It would have been as little as 3 to 4 months before I started working with you. That story.
Yeah,
because in the office, like I remember in the office at work, it was like big news that the trailer was kind of. I remember we were talking about it at work. I mean, like, there's a trailer coming out. We need to watch the trailer. I think we even watched one of them at work when it came out. Like, the time it dropped.
I only worked with you guys for 2 months when I took time off to play the game.
I remember, and
that was in my first year. So I had to accrue holiday days at a rate of like 0.75 days a month or something like that. And I'd worked up 3.5 days by the time GTA came out. So.
But see, it's interesting because obviously they're doing the remake and the trilogy. But for me, if you said which one do you want to play, thinking back to like Mafia, I know it's maybe not fair because I don't know how the remakes are going to stack up. Is it going to be like a Mafia 1 remake kind of deal, or is it going to be Mafia 3 remaster kind of deal? But Vice City for me is the one that if you had to pick one to play and they had all been redone to the same level, I would go Vice City, definitely.
Yeah. Something about that setting, I think that probably speaks to you and me, Jonesy, more than it speaks to maybe.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
But interestingly enough, you say that, but as the report goes, all three will be remastered using the Unreal Engine and will be a mix of new and old graphics. Don't know what that means, new and old graphics, but interesting that it's going to be remastered in the Unreal Engine.
I think there's the other thing that kind of shines a little bit more light on what that could mean, which is that one source claimed the visuals reminded them of a, quote, heavily modded version of a classic GTA title. Yeah. So, like, are we looking at, like, the PC versions at, like, ridiculous specs, and then maybe, like, there is... I don't know what they would... I don't know what they would improve. Like, it's hard to know how far they go, right?
Well, it's easy, right? I mean, if it's coming out on PlayStation 5, it'll be 4K.
Right.
As an example.
Second.
But, like, will it still look like
you can
polygonal kind of,
Also, I can
they
play
don't have fingers
these
on their hands. They've just got little nubbins,
But the key thing is I can turn on my PS5 right now, go to the PlayStation Store, and download GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. They're all still playable on either PlayStation or Play. So they have to do something. Like...
It kind of worries me because, like I said, going back to the Mafia thing, playing Mafia 1 through, it was incredible. It could have come out now, standalone. Played 2 and played it for an hour and was like, I don't want to play any more of this. It's so dated. It doesn't look that great. It doesn't play that great. Like, I'm not into it.
Yeah.
So,
and like, there are fundamental things about like how that game handles restarting missions and how that game handles, or those games handle checkpointing missions or returning to objectives and things like that. That like, if they don't fix that, sure, that's an interesting example of like things where one of the reasons like follow the train is annoying is because if you don't follow the train, you're still on a bike with big smoke and you have to turn. Like, no one remembers, or very few people remember that like mission failed pops up, it disappears. You have to turn around and drive back to wherever you started that fucking mission and watch the cutscene again. Like, they've got to address some of that stuff.
Yeah,
otherwise
some
they could be talking
life.
about like people joked about Mass Effect 1 being the sticking point for the Legendary Edition, like, right? Oh, people won't get past Mass Effect 1. That's a far, far bigger risk with GTA 3, if you ask my opinion.
Yeah.
Luckily, they're all separate stories. So
so you can skip it if you don't want to. You just go straight to Vice City. But yeah, apparently the UIs will be updated. Will be in the same classic styles. But like, I don't know, a pet peeve of mine, and I can understand it from like older games, but I just can't handle big HUDs anymore. I'm a small HUD kind of guy.
I like it. Yeah, no, I get that.
HUDs annoy the shit out of me, especially, and like in the older games, you're talking about PS2 when, the screen resolution was not like, it wasn't HD.
Yeah.
Right. But you still had to have this HUD that kind of conveyed all of the information you need. It's just like massive on screen. You go back and look at footage of God of War 2, for example. Fucking massive, like HUD, like all of, like the 50% of the screen is HUD. And it
we
kills
used
me.
to deal with it.
Yeah, because one of the things that I wanted to make sure we did on All Time Gaming was wherever we could just get rid of HUDs on our videos. So like zoom in and move the image around. And yeah, when it came to those games, I was like, fuck this, bro. This is dog shit. All games should have an option to resize your HUD or get rid of it entirely. Fuck it.
Having to come to you and be like, Chris, I can only get footage of this game at 480p, and I have to scale in 215% to get rid of the HUD. What should I do?
Yeah,
it's mad to me. Like, thinking back now to like playing games like GoldenEye, for example, 4-player local co-op on SD monitor. So you've actually got like, Jesus, like 200 lines by, like, I don't even know, like 300 or something. Not even that, less than that.
It was like 720 by 576 was the ratio.
Jesus, so even worse. So 250 by 350 something. Like a little square, that's all you had for your area. And we used to play it. Brutal.
Man, that's mad.
And people are complaining about the Stream Deck.
Yeah, the Switch OLED.
Yeah, the Switch OLED.
How funny, man.
We don't know how lucky we are.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how into these remakes I am, like when you guys first said this, because I hadn't heard about this until you guys mentioned it today, and I was psyched. I was like, oh, that sounds like a great thing. I hope they're doing like a ground up remake. That would be wicked. And then the second it's like they're going to use old graphics and new graphics. It's going to like a really heavily modded original GTA. I'm like, I think I'm out. You
didn't really expect like a Mafia 1 style remake for any one of these games. Like that's basically Rockstar's next game at that point.
But they could do it. Well,
not for
half
maybe
the
not
work
for,
is done already for them though, like the story and the beats and the missions. So
but like none of those games ran on their
right,
current engine. Like the second you take Vice City and you say we're putting this on the Rockstar Advanced Game Engine circa Red Dead Redemption 2, you're making the next GTA essentially, with the exception of you don't need to write a new script.
I was thinking, I suppose in my mind that the only one I got to like was GTA 3, I was thinking. And I was thinking, you could do GTA 3. It's probably a lot shorter. The main character doesn't even bloody talk.
Yeah.
It's
the world's smaller.
Like the world's smaller. But I mean, yeah, but you're right. Vice City and San Andreas would be even worse. Like that would be a massive game to try and remake for sure.
But, okay, never mind as a trilogy. But if they had to like do the Mafia 1 remake of San Andreas, like, bro, printing money at that stage.
It does to a certain extent, but like,
do you reckon it steps on the toes of GTA 6? Or maybe that's the problem.
No,
because then it just muddies the water with regard to it is a remake, but if it's a ground up remake and it's of San Andreas, that's a big game with a lot of story.
Yeah, but it's still a known quantity with one protagonist.
I think like I've almost got this image in my head when we think about potential games like that, where someone at Rockstar is plotting a graph, and one line is the amount of revenue they'll generate, and the other is how much that it will cost.
Yeah,
and at some point, the line of how much revenue they'll generate curves and sort of like flat lines far sooner than how much money could we potentially spend on this line does. And that probably those intersect somewhere around the, hey, what if we kind of didn't quite remake it, didn't quite remaster it, and made a mixture of old and new graphics kind of things. Where it's like someone did the maths, it's like, we have to spend another $40 million if we want to round up remake it, and we'll actually only make another 5. Yeah. And someone's like, huh.
Yeah, no, you probably.
And then there's someone in the back of them that goes,
release another event and online.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I was about to make a Hauser joke, but they're barely even there anymore. Yeah. But it's like, yeah, someone's like, yeah, release the next GTA Online patch, and it's like, discount the shark cards for a week. We'll make it. But we do know that this is broadly being developed by Rockstar Dundee, who were the studio that they purchased not that long ago, because they were the guys who made Crackdown and helped Microsoft with the Halo Master Chief Collection.
Yeah.
So,
which, to be fair, didn't launch in a great state, and that's not being kind, even.
Exactly. But what I will say is there is some thinking, assuming like all of the sources and information that are going around at the moment are accurate, that like Dundee could be something of a remastering, remaking studio, and the same Kotaku report that announced this trilogy said that a Red Dead Redemption remaster or port or something had been discussed based on just how well these sell. So, like, I wouldn't be surprised if 2K, in an almost Activision to Blizzard-like fashion, had gone to Rockstar and were like, look, if it takes 10 years to make each new GTA, fine. But is there anything we can do in the meantime? And they were like, let me call the Dundee office.
It's almost like taking the thing we mentioned a little bit earlier, Jon Favreau, right? Like I don't think he does it anymore, but what he used to have to do, and he was quite vocal about it, saying he had to do a shitty studio movie before they could let him do his movie. And then he did a shitty studio movie and then his movie. So, for instance, Chef is his movie.
Chef's a ball of fucking movie.
Yeah, it is a really good movie.
But the point is, he had to basically swallow his pride, go do a film for the studio before he could do that passion project. So yeah, maybe there's a similar kind of thing of saying like, you can have your money and your time for your GTA 6, but we'll give that to you, but you need to give us something in return. Remasters, baby.
Rockstar presents Cowboys and Aliens.
I mean,
Do you know one of my favorite
I don't
things about Chef is the fact that Favreau cast Scarlett Johansson as like the new love interest, and he cast Sofia Vergara as his ex-wife.
Yeah.
Like bullshit. You
but it's also
bloody
worse. It's like
wish.
here's my best friend John Leguizamo, and also like me and Robert Downey Jr. we get on pretty well as well. Like it's just
It is. It's literally. It's my in my head when I fall asleep. It's like my dream. John Leguizamo is my best mate.
They do.
Downey
Yeah.
Jr.'s chatting, and then Sofia Vergara and Scarlett Johansson are like trying to get some. That's literally
and by the way, you can literally give women orgasms with pasta, like the fucking the Merovingian or whatever his name is.
The
cooking with the
Merovingian.
cake.
from
Like
Matrix.
that's the real
2.
thing. Is the chef is actually a Matrix spin-off film, and Jon Favreau is like the Merovingian's brother, and he just puts orgasm code in the fucking pasta.
Like, John, we love this movie. It's so great. Like, the writing's brilliant. I love the idea. It's great. Oh, we haven't finished the casting yet. Who have you got in mind for your girlfriend and your ex-wife? And they're like, shh. Oh, man, you've completely fucked it.
oh man,
Either that, or they hadn't cast himself, and they're like, John, we loved the script. We weren't sure who you were planning to cast as a chef. We presume on first reading we're thinking like a Brad Pitt, maybe Bradley Cooper type character. And John goes, me. It's me. I'm the chef.
Oh, it's great, man. Like, yeah, I loved that. I loved it. I thought it was hilarious when it happened.
I'll tell you what, fellas. Let's go back to.
Sorry,
GTA.
yeah, we digress.
There's something that I want to get your opinion on, okay? Because apparently the plans for this like trilogy remaster, whatever you want to call it, has been changed and shifted, and ideas have been moved around a bit. Because as the report goes, the package was originally planned as a bonus for people who purchased the upcoming next-gen port of GTA 5. Okay? Which kind of doesn't really make sense to me, because GTA 5 doesn't matter even if it's still selling well as is. So, like, why bother with a next-gen port? But whatever. And then apparently it changed again, that they're going to release it at the beginning of this year. And then it changed again to release when apparently it's planned to release, which is soon, and almost on every single platform, including the Switch, which would be pretty cool. But do you think that, like, hearing that, it's gone from a simple remaster to a more in-depth remaster, and saying like, hey, there is something here, and we could actually do it better than just upraising the graphics, you know?
The cynic in me, like, here's that fact, and is like, there was someone at Rockstar who really thought that they could get away with doing this as a goodwill gesture and something to not quite say sorry for the kind of like weirdly patchy GTA support, but just as like a sweetener, until like someone who is far more in the numbers got wind of what was going on, was like, guys, you're not putting this thing like out basically for free. Like, millions of people are going to buy GTA for next gen, regardless of what you actually do to it.
Yeah, exactly.
We've got to sell this thing. That's what the cynic in me says. It doesn't matter whether or not they've changed the scope of the work. I think someone just realized they need to sell it.
Yeah.
There's too much money left on the table.
I want to be a bit cynical and say that I reckon that the little free gifty version that you would have got is exactly the same as the version you're going to be buying. For full price. I don't think it's going to be I don't think they're going to do it any more than they were going to do. I think it's just going to be But people will buy it. But it does start to get weird for me is when it comes to price and how much it's going to actually cost, because I think you back in the day, like 45 quid or whatever, 50 quid for a game that was like a remaster, you can kind of get your head around. But then it starts to get weird as we go along down, the $70, $75, whatever it is, price point that we sort of get to nowadays, or moving further along even from that, because you start to think like, I'm not paying that much money for a remake or a remaster. Sorry.
I feel that that's the reason that they're doing all these trilogies. Like, you wouldn't pay that for San Andreas Remastered. I mean, some people would. You wouldn't pay for Mass Effect 1 Remastered the price that you pay for it.
I don't even know if you pay it for the trilogy as a remaster. Like, that's what I'm saying. I don't know how much.
I think it depends on the quality, right?
For sure. It does. It does absolutely depend on the quality. Yeah.
I guess it also depends on the fan. Like, for instance, so they're saying it's coming out on the Switch, which makes me think that it'll come out at the most expensive price on the Switch, which is just the price on the Switch, which is like, which is like £60, right? Or $60. But then again, I think to myself, Super Mario 3D All-Stars is another trilogy collection that I fucking snapped up because I just wanted to play one game. And I paid full price for it. And because I'm such a fan, I am happy to. So where's that San Andreas guy that says, "Oh, I can play this like remaster on my Switch"? I just want San Andreas, but yeah, I'll buy the trilogy. Fuck it.
I think Nintendo people though are different.
Different breed.
I don't think they're the same breed.
That's fair. There's what, like 90 million of us, so sure.
Yeah, and also you've never played a GTA game, right? On a Nintendo console. I think there was a GTA game on one of the Game Boys.
The last one was the Chinatown Wars. Yeah, which was on the DS.
On DS. Yeah, well, that was a good game. Very different.
Yeah,
that was a good game. I always forget that because I played it on PSP.
Right. But yeah, it's an interesting proposition to have it on the Switch. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say it up front. Like, as long as these are, it sounds immediately like these are not ports and upreses.
Yeah,
and as long as there is a little bit more than porting and upresing, I would happily pay £60 for the 3 games.
Yeah.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm definitely interested to see where that all ends up. Like, if they do end up being 60, 70 quid, and they are, a remaster, I'm gonna be. I don't know. I think for me,
but it will be all 3 packaged together.
Yeah.
Even so, like you said, you can still go and buy Vice City. You can still go and buy San Andreas if you wanted to right now. Like, you don't need to.
Yeah.
So it does kind of make me just wonder: would I really spend that much money?
It needs to be worth it.
Yeah, they need to make it so that, like, when you look at screenshots of this thing on the PlayStation Store, it's worth more money than the fucking $7.99 PS2 back compat version that sat right next to it and is. Like, our friend Sam Richards played all of San Andreas as, like, PS2, the PS2 game on his PS4 at the time.
Yeah.
That was, like, last year, I think. Early lockdown, he did it. So it's like, people clearly still feel that way. Like, you can still, like, you've got to make it worth the while.
Yeah, you could even get on your phone. Like, fuck it.
I've got San Andreas on my phone, yeah.
Wow, okay. I suppose, to be fair, though, you recently played the Legendary Edition. Was it Mass Effect, the Legendary, whatever they call it?
Yes.
And you thought it was great, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it will be people jump on it and they'll think it's wicked.
But Jonesy, you did ask where was it all going to lead. I'll tell you where it's all going to lead, because according to the report, confirmed rumors that if this re-release sells well, then they will remaster Red Dead Redemption.
That would be big.
But I kind of feel it would be big, but I almost feel that, like, a really cool, cheeky piece of marketing would be like, tell you what, fellas, you get this to bunch over the X amount of sales, and we'll start working on Red Dead Redemption.
That would be so scary.
It's almost like what Suda did with the fucking
give me 10,000 likes.
Yeah, with the Travis touchdown strikes again. He's like, well, if this sells well, I might make No More Heroes 3.
Like 9 times out of 10, when someone says that, they're gonna fucking do it anyway. They just it's all pre-promotion.
Yeah.
But Red Dead Redemption was, like, for a long time considered, like, the unportable or unremasterable game. So if they managed to pull that off, I'm curious to see how well it's aged. But, like, that's
I tried to replay
my favorite game of all time.
I tried to replay Red Dead. Like, I tried to.
How long ago?
I think this is like 2 years ago. And I was like, oh, let me hop back in and try and play it, because it was a wicked game that I never finished. And I was like, oh, let me jump in and have a little play. And I couldn't do it, man. It was so.
How did you try to do it?
I think it was through one of the services, like PlayStation.
Was it
Now
on PS? Like, was it streaming on PS Now?
Yeah, PS Now. Yeah. And I tried to do that, and it was
that rings.
And it was just, I found it unplayable just because it was dated. It wasn't bad. Like, I played BioShock Infinite on PS Now, and I found it fine. Like, I had a good time with that game. But just trying to play Red Dead, it felt old.
Yeah.
And dated, and that was 2 years ago. So.
Yeah, but going to what Jamie was saying, apparently in the past, when they asked why it hadn't been remastered or etc., they were almost like saying the code is almost like impossible to kind of penetrate and untangle. And
wow, okay.
I think I've done the suitcase analogy like 10 times on this podcast, I'm sure, haven't I, over the years?
Yeah, you jam it in the suitcase,
Jonesy.
But yeah,
so you realise the pair of socks on the outside.
Yeah. So what's going to happen is you're going to get a remaster. You're going to get a Red Dead remaster, and everyone's going to be like, this is fucking amazing. You're going to buy it. You're going to open it up, and it says Red Dead Revolver.
I would not. I need to say this up front. I would never buy a remaster of Red Dead Revolver. I, for whatever reason, owned that game on the PlayStation 2 as a child, and did not like it. Red Dead Redemption, on the other hand, Red Dead Redemption would also just be fascinating to go back to see, like,
the difference between 2 and 1.
Yeah, and just how well they work as a 2-act kind of thing. Like, it would be interesting to see, like, if you played them, if someone had the balls to replay all of 2 and then move on to 1, like, how much does it match up? Like, how much does the characterization of John Marston match up? How much does the kind of the lack of mentioning of Arthur Morgan kind of
glaringly
bother
obvious.
people? Yeah, like, how weird is it going in with all that new knowledge and baggage with people like Bill and Javier and Dutch, who were kind of just random at the time.
Yeah,
I have a weird little there's a weird little place in me that's a little bit frustrated with Red Dead, because there was some pretty like sick I don't know what you call them, like Western cowboy games on the PlayStation at the time that I was really into, and then they just seemed to disappear after Red Dead came out.
You mean Gun? Are you talking about Gun?
Gun, Call of Juarez.
Call of Juarez did disappear.
There was, and they just kind of just faded off, and it was like because they could never compare. But I love those games. I thought they were wicked. So there's a little part of me which is like, damn, Red Dead killed.
Oh, well, hang on though. I know one easy way to get you right back on board, and you'd forget all about Call of Juarez and Gun.
Go on.
We just remaster Undead Nightmare at the same time.
No. Do you know what you do? You make Undead Nightmare 2.
Okay, in the Red Dead Redemption 2 engine.
Red Dead Redemption 2 engine.
But it still forces you to walk every time you're in the camp because it's realistic.
And then you've got zombies running after you and you can only walk.
Yeah, but the zombies are running after you, but then you still have to open up the drawer really slowly.
Yeah. But before you can kill a zombie, you have to like weirdly shuffle in the exact right spot and wait for the prompt to hold up, and then hold down the button that's actually a different button depending on which angle you're facing the zombie from. It could be hold square, could be hold. You just don't know.
Also,
you just don't know.
If you're in the cold, the zombies' balls go up.
Oh yeah! Remember to put your coat on. Did you put it on your horse? Too bad. Go back to the camp, walk through it, get your coat, put it on the horse. Maybe get some soup while you're there.
Don't forget to leave your rifle on your horse. But then get off the horse and then go and fight the zombies.
Oh, it's such
and then
a
realize
good
you
game,
don't have
man.
it.
Oh,
such a good game,
actually,
isn't it?
While you're here, did you kill a deer and bring it back to Pearson to feed the camp? Oh, you didn't. Good, because it doesn't even matter. That's just something you can do if you want to, but there's absolutely no benefit to it whatsoever.
It's such a sick game though. It's well.
It's a work of art.
It is
Well,
gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Oh, fellas,
But it has its problems.
You know what's a work of art? This fucking podcast. And let's leave it at that. Boom. Praise what Moloch. There you go.
Moloch. What's this? Why do we do this?
Illuminati, bro.
This is me telling you to prepare the goat.
Prepare the goat because Jamie's going in its anus. Just like
Hashtag prepare the goat. Oh yeah, this is the goat
Goatsy.
with a goat.
Goatsy.
This is the thing you'd say every
So
time
you start like
greet
this.
someone.
So you start like this, and then you go like this.
Yeah, that's our cult greeting.
do you remember how like PewDiePie used to end all his things by like fisting the camera and going, "Yeah, bros." What if we
Brofist, yeah.
what if we started all of our videos with like the camera blocked, and then it just kind of like we goatsy in, and it's like, "I'm here."
It's like a dirty version of the is it TikTok where the girls do that, and then they're not wearing any clothes.
Oh yeah, Alex Jones.
I think we just got a fascinating insight into what Jonesy does with his phone.
Yeah, like what? You don't watch those videos where they start off in a dressing gown and they do that and then they're wearing their underwear?
Because I don't
Dude,
need
I
to
wish
install
those-
TikTok and sign up for a TikTok account to get mildly fucking
I don't
horned.
have TikTok.
I'm not going to install... I'm going to put TikTok on my phone
No.
just to see slightly...
I don't have
like,
TikTok. You don't need TikTok, mate. YouTube Shorts is TikTok 2.0 where
So
they just
watching
upload
YouTube shorts
everything.
of ladies without clothes on.
You don't even need to search for it. People, they just put it in your face
Hang
on TikTok, on YouTube
hang on.
Shorts.
In your face.
Every time I open
In your
YouTube Shorts,
face.
all I'm getting is like, this is how I cooked the best steak I've ever cooked in my life.
I get
put
the
it
most-
on...
Let me
First, I
get
melted the butter. Then I put the steak in the butter. 3 minutes later, it's a beautiful medium rare.
Fellas,
get the
can I
one-
just say something? I tried to end this podcast like about 5 minutes ago. Let's. What are
Sorry.
we
Chris,
doing?
we've got some important commentary and
Oh,
insight to give
God.
about YouTube Shorts here.
Oh, here you go. So it must be me then, because I've got how I walk
Oh
up
my God.
how I walk up the stairs, which is
Brackets with no clothes on?
no,
Brackets
but it's
with
just
a
like
camera up my vag.
it's just tight trousers. So it's just from behind. She's wearing tight trousers.
K-pop idols that made a trend popular. Cardi B getting revenge for Kesha TikTok the Muffin Man. Food in commercials versus real life.
Wow.
What's a secret your boyfriend doesn't know? Daniel Cormier analysing Sean O'Malley's uppercut feint to right
Is this
hand
the short
on
shelf?
detail
Is this
versus
the
Chris
short shelf?
Coutinho. This is me flicking through shorts one by one.
Oh no, if you just go to
Billie
the short
Eilish.
shelf, if you just like,
Are you
because it must be
Oh
me
my
then.
God.
Mine is just like thirst
the short
traps
shelf?
after each.
When I
you know,
when I
one
touch
after
when I
another.
touch shorts, it just starts playing them.
Oh no, but if you go on the app and you just scroll down without looking at anything, you'll have a horizontal bit which just says shorts, and then you can just scroll
Shorts.
left like across, and you just see loads. And if you click on one, it will just take you through like an infinite number of shorts. But mine are all like,
I don't think I
Yeah,
have
you know
the
why,
short
Jones?
shelf.
It's
I've
because
just got like
it's algorithmic, and what you've done is you've just been a pervert on YouTube.
yeah, pretty much.
oh, there it is.
pretty much. It's exactly what
Eating
it is.
at a restaurant by yourself. Fake Crip gang member don't know how to walk. Laughy face. Replicating a Modern Warfare PKM reload in Onward. Notice how she got happier when
look, there's
he
your boy.
neared back.
Oh my
Noel
God.
Diesel.
Oh, he looks fucking jacked to the tits.
He is jacked.
Can we?
Bit of
Okay.
Rogan. So
Oh.
okay, it's not all filth. It's a bit of everything.
I've got New York City steaks 2 videos in a row. Where does it think I live?
It just knows.
Porn.
it just-
That should do the trick.
He's trying. Wow.
Someone's listening somewhere, right?
Well, you know.
Oh,
speaking-
creative paperclip ideas.
Oh my God! You are literally now. You have killed me. I have been deceased now. So
Can,
thank you for that.
for our
Chris.
for the code word, I think we should just have praise Moloch.
Praise Moloch. That's fair. That's fair.
Unless
Chris,
if
when
you
you-
have a religious, what's it called? Don't do it. if it's
Then
against
just
your,
say,
yeah,
praise Jizz Jamie.
Technically, isn't even any like super hardcore Christian not allowed to say praise Moloch because it's not God. So it's someone pretending to be.
False
what I-
idols.
yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
mean.
it's
that's what I mean.
it's the golden goat or the golden sheep or the golden cow. The golden
Golden
cow.
cow. Yeah. Golden
That
calf.
might be a bad. Don't put that because it might be bad for some religious people. I don't know if it's bad or not. I don't know about that shit. Put something. What should we put?
Chris, can I ask you a personal question?
Go ahead, buddy.
When you make content for YouTube, does all of it go on the short shelf by default?